who are we talking about tonight?
Well, I mean, I believe we're talking about the incredibly fair and balanced uh, documentary that aired on Channel 4 last night, which is absolutely not just a crappy puff piece for Kathleen Stock to perpetuate her victim narrative.
Well,
Not
well,
at all.
who is Kathleen Stock?
Oh, well, Kathleen Stock is a quote unquote gender critical ex professor who used to work at the University of Sussex until she signed a declaration calling for the elimination of transgenderism and the removal of most of their rights in the most of trans people's rights in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
At which point the students decided that they didn't really like this course of action, and felt like they didn't really want to have a crazy bigot as their professor. So some of them had some small protests on campus. Kathleen Stock then went to the newspapers and said she was being victimized and silenced. Told a story about how trans flags were put up all over the office to intimidate her, and failed to mention that it was Trans Day of Remembrance, and that's why the trans flags were being put up. Anyway, there was a whole load of that. Some terrifying people, about 17 years old, standing on the grass somewhere, holding a sign saying "We don't like transphobia" or something similar. And that meant that Kathleen Stock had to hand in her professorship and go and work for the fake right-wing quote-unquote university stroke think tank, the University of Austin, which I believe she said recently is still being set up. This was about, what, 2 years ago or something?
Yeah.
And nowadays she's started up the Lesbian Project, which is another, essentially a right-wing think tank in disguise. It just it claims to do a bunch of it claims to be advocating for the rights of lesbians, and doing research in that area, but much in the same way as like the tobacco companies commissioned research to support the idea that smoking was healthy. A lot of a lot of think tanks do
I
this stuff. They produce their own
are
research
you
and what they're doing.
are you saying that lesbianism is as bad as smoking?
I'm saying
Because
that
that would be
lesbianism,
that would be homophobic, actually.
it would be if that's what I was saying,
But you're not
but
saying
it
that.
isn't. I'm not saying that, so
Okay.
that's good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But she has definitely been silenced.
She
I
has,
I think we
yeah.
can agree.
Recently, she was called to give a talk at the Oxford
Yeah, the Oxford Union.
University,
Yep, yep.
which they're framing as a debate, but seems to mostly just be an uncritical interview. I've
Yeah,
only seen bits of it, but I haven't seen her be significantly challenged
yeah.
on anything in any fashion. And regardless of what side of the argument you're on, I think you can't look at something like that and call it a debate. That's
It's not a
fucking
debate.
stupid.
No.
Um, but so
So she was silenced at the Oxford Union by being allowed to talk.
she was silenced at the Oxford Union by being allowed to
Yeah.
talk. I believe somebody glued their hand to the stage in protest of her speaking there. So there are definitely people who would rather she wasn't invited to speak at Oxford.
Hmm.
That's not silencing somebody, by the way. That's just like, I don't want somebody who is advocating against all of my rights to be at the place where I'm supposed to be learning and getting my degree and trying to, I don't want a hostile environment created within my learning space,
Yeah.
because, like, yeah. Anyway,
But they,
but
but
um,
but there she is being silenced in the national newspaper, the
yeah,
Telegraph.
yeah.
Just
She's
bit.
been silenced in the Telegraph. She's been silenced on several different BBC shows.
There's her being silenced on the Good Morning Britain, which I believe is the
Oh yeah,
most popular morning television show in the country. That was her
and
being silenced in the Guardian national
yeah,
newspaper. Here was her being silenced on LBC, the radio station. That's her being silenced on the literal British Broadcasting Corporation. Being silenced on Talk TV as well. There you go. There you go.
Wild.
being silenced at the Cambridge
I
Union.
I offered Julia Hartley Brewer the chance to interview me yesterday for £2,000 per half an hour plus a flat £2,000 donation to mermaids. She didn't take me up on it. Clearly, they're not interested in debate. That's all I'm saying.
Well, obviously, yes. Although, to be fair, the person they put up against Katie Montgomery on, I think it was LBC, was a person who's defended pedophilia and genocide denial.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. That's Claire Fox. Yeah.
Yeah, so the genocriticals are mental. Anyway, here's her also being silenced by being allowed to publish a book earlier this month.
Yeah, and what we're
So,
going to be looking at is her being silenced by having this whole documentary on
yeah.
Channel 4 that is certainly not a puff piece all about how. Well, I mean, it's basically Kathleen Stock looking sad at work, Kathleen Stock looking sad on a train, Kathleen Stock looking sad elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, for a person who's been silenced, I can't get the fuck away from her. Like, she's everywhere.
yeah,
She's the loudest silent person ever.
on the front page of several newspapers. It's crazy. Full disclosure, I know one of the people in this documentary, Katie John Went, who is I'm not sure how to describe her gender, a trans femme non-binary person, maybe.
Right.
I believe she does use some masculine pronouns or something some of the time. Whatever. Katie is a trans feminine person of some description, who I know personally from just being around in some of the same bars and clubs and things that she's gone to. And I have to say, horribly, horribly fucking disappointed with her. Very, very
Okay.
upset. She's always been a borderline shitter. She's always been one of those, we need to have a dialogue with the TERFs and we need to hear out the gender criticals and we need to debate this in the marketplace of ideas people, right?
Okay.
Which, like, I can understand how people get to that position. I understand why it's like, let's have a reasoned debate about it. I don't think you can have a reasoned debate with gender critical people, but she thinks you can, and whatever, fine, go for it. It's always been a bit of a worry, the amount of like coddling that she does with these people. But with recent statements and conversations and stuff, she seems to not only be coddling, but entirely fucking capitulating against the radical trans extremist activists who think that trans women should be able to play in women's sport, for example. She has decided now that she doesn't believe that trans women should be able to compete against women in sport. She was on Times Radio. There's a clip of her on Times Radio, because she's in the documentary as well, right? Like with Kathleen Stock. She's supposed to represent the reasonable, moderate middle ground or whatever. So she was on the Times Radio with Stock, and while Stock was saying it's all hyperbole and what was it, histrionics, the idea that we want to take away anybody's rights or to get rid of trans people in any kind of way, and she's just sitting there fucking nodding along, doesn't say a fucking thing. So I want to see, because I haven't really seen this whole thing yet, Gender Wars.
Okay.
I want to see how much of an actual fucking opposition there is, because I know Katie John Went is in it, and another person, Finn McKay, who I vaguely know but only from online, whereas Katie I know from real life. But I don't know who else is on there, and I think Finn McKay is a pretty strong advocate for trans rights, but Katie John Went is fucking not. So I'm just wondering how much of a balance we have with the two sides here, not only in presentation, because it does seem to be extraordinarily one-sided in that, but in terms of, like, they say they invite people across the political spectrum to speak, and I want to see how far that spectrum extends, whether it extends only to trans people who broadly agree with gender critical people anyway.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, that was a bit of a ramble, wasn't it? But I think it was all interesting and relevant.
I think so too. Right.
Okay. Brilliant.
Let's dig into this. It bills itself as hearing from both sides at the heart of one of the most polarizing issues of our times, with views on various sides of the debate. Is there an end sign to the conflict? Let's find out. It is muted. Well done, Kev.
Great job, bud.
Boom. Close advert.
I've got a reputation now, a bad one.
The environment for trans people, in particular in the UK at present, is abhorrent. And the hatred perpetuated by certain people in this room should be a damning indictment on them.
True.
In my room, I could hear protests outside. The whole city just felt on edge throughout the whole thing.
Being in the same room as Dr. Stock and hearing her say the things she says, when I know the meaning she has behind them, it just feels aggressive against me, so I decided to stay away.
I am already thought of as transphobic. You know, there's nothing I could do for these people to repair that now. There's no.
You could stop being transphobic for 5 seconds.
That would be good. That would be certainly, at the very least, a start along that path. Yeah. I mean, it's like a Nazi. There's nothing I can do to be not a Nazi anymore. Yeah, there is.
You could say, I apologise for and regret my past decision to sign the WHRC declaration, which calls for the removal of most of trans people's rights in the UK, and, quote, the elimination of the practice of transgenderism. You could apologise for that. That's what you could do. You could say that was a bad thing that I did. It was very transphobic of me to put my name to such a declaration.
What do they mean by transgenderism? Because they make it sound like it's a religion or something.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's entirely the point, right? It's so that they can say that they're not transphobic. They're just against the ideology of transness, right? The ideology of people being able to be trans or whatever, right? It's very much the same as saying, oh, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm just against this cultural Bolshevism nonsense, right? Or like I'm against world Jewry. I'm not against Jewish people. I just don't like the ones that control the world or whatever. It's inane, and it's an attempt to reduce trans people to an ideology, to say so that you can get rid of that and you're not actually assaulting any kind of person. It's really fucked up. We're not an ideology. We're fucking people. We're here, and if you try to stop us living the way that we want to live, then you're effectively erasing an entire subculture, right? You're erasing an entire demographic of people, just the same as describing being gay as a lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely.
Nothing I could say that would change it.
Dr. Stock, those she enables, and those who enable her, disgust me, and they should disgust this house.
It's hard
Based
for me to
Oxford
say
Uni
why
student.
a certain issue
Not
becomes
many of
so
those.
heated. Hearing from these voices.
Well, technically, this is Cambridge.
Oh, is that Cambridge?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if that's King's College, like that's actually it's better. It's better than Oxford.
Okay. Well,
it's not good, but it's better than Oxford.
Yeah.
More diverse views.
Yeah, this was one of the previous times where she was silenced by being able to speak at one of the premier learning institutions on Earth. Yeah, it's.
Is this the clip? Is this a clip from her? What is it? This house believes we have the right to offend debate. I think that one was at Cambridge.
I don't know.
I was so shit. I just want to these university debates, by the way, are fucking garbage.
Yes,
okay?
they are. Yes, they are.
I had EJ Rosetta go, oh, you should watch my debate at Cambridge, and I was like, okay. I went and looked at it, and I was just like, this is fucking atrocious, girl. This is the depths. This is not a proper debate. This is not arguing. You're not making any salient fucking points here. So, yeah, the quality of debate at these things is not, it's not about trying to find the truth most of the time either. Debate clubs at universities are exercises in rhetoric, right?
Yeah, that's precisely
it's a team sport. Quite often they're just given They're just given a question and told you have to argue for or against this. It has nothing to do with their personal convictions or what is right or wrong or whatever. It's just, you know, who's the best at rhetoric. And I think serious topics like this in our current day and age like deserve better treatment than shitty fucking sport debates, frankly.
Yeah. And as was pointed out, it was debate clubs like this that gave us the likes of David Cameron and Boris Johnson. So, I mean, just on that alone, they should be destroyed forever. Anyway, yes, yeah, moving slowly on.
It has to be positive.
Your generation is terrified of causing offence. And I'm sure you know that because
Yeah,
I'm
it
sure
is.
you sometimes have rebellious thoughts that you think would offend people.
No, this is the thing that annoys me. When they say your generation is terrified of giving offence. No, it's just that what is offensive has moved on. Okay?
I'm not terrified of causing offence. I'm terrified of causing harm. Like I don't want to say things that contribute to bigotry and oppression of other people, right? And if I ever do, I want to be called out on them. But as pretty much every single gender critical person who has ever fucking interacted with me knows, I'm not afraid of causing offence. Y'all are fucking scum. Go fuck yourselves. Go take a long dip in the fucking ocean.
Yeah,
you fucking wastes of oxygen.
Yeah, as a person
a blight.
who literally does a joke about my friend Gil, and you have to understand the meaning behind that, but clearly, I'm not that way inclined either, and I don't think people generally are, as you can see by the fact that it was largely younger people that got Ding Dong the Witch is Dead to #1 in the charts when someone they didn't like died. They're clearly not about not being offended. What I will say is Kathleen Stock comes from the generation that gave us Section 28. So you want to talk about not causing offence, eat my dick.
And the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
Of which there were several cases in the UK, by the way.
There were indeed.
Crazy. Wasn't just a United States thing.
Well, not just that, but if we're going to go back a little way, Mary Whitehouse.
Yeah, fucking Mary Whitehouse.
Who, for Americans, think Phyllis Schlafly, but British, basically.
Yeah, very scared of ankle skin.
Yes, yeah, it took people to court for having gay people in plays, etc. Like, the idea that it's a modern thing that people don't like to offend or don't like to cause harm or whatever is absurd.
Hey, look, here's a fucking woman who basically says that she quit her job over the fact that some people disagreed with her. So if anybody's a fucking snowflake who doesn't like being offended, it's Kathleen fucking Stock. And the other gender criticals, by the way, who threaten to sue basically anybody who fucking disagrees with them.
True.
And I will tell them every single fucking time, sue me.
Yeah.
You fucking loser. Fucking Bindle's threatened to sue me. Who else?
She has, yeah. Well, not that he's necessarily...
Rowling threatened to sue me.
Yeah, not that he's necessarily a TERF, but have you been watching the Akhtar versus... what's his fucking name? Lawrence Fox.
Oh my
thing.
God! Yeah.
It's amazing. He got him with Bofa the other day. He Bofa'd him twice in DMs. Fucking genius. Anyway,
What a loser.
keeps threatening to sue him, and he's like, "Go on, then sue me. Suck your mum." And he never does. Like, how divorced are you, Lawrence?
Yeah.
This is bad.
If
You're
they think
arguing
they-
with a
if they-
teenager in DMs. Like, just
If they
go
think
with
they
yourself.
have a case, they will fucking sue you.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So be careful about what you're saying.
Mm.
But if you are saying something that is provably fucking true, stick to your guns, because they will not go through with it because they're fucking pussies. They just want to intimidate you.
Or is a matter of opinion that doesn't involve legality. So if I say someone is racist, that, you know, as long as I've got some reasonable basis for that as an opinion, like with Lawrence Fox, who is a racist, then that's fine. You are allowed to have an opinion. Yes.
Yeah, Lawrence Fox is a despicable fucking racist.
Yeah. Well, as Alethion points out, he is currently 0.5 on the Glinner scale. That is true. He's not one.
Yeah.
He's not a full Glinner yet. Although
I don't know. He is very divorced.
He is extremely divorced, but is he? She took the great cheese grater divorced. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he is. He's very, very, very upset to the point of like threatening her new boyfriend and shit. No, he's off the fucking scale divorced.
Oh no,
yeah.
no, he's gone a full Glinner then. Okay.
Yeah, he's what was it? She's turned the kids against me divorced. Okay.
He's not Kanye divorced, is he? He's not,
She's turned the weens against me.
she's
Yeah,
not.
he's,
She's
he's
not.
Kanye divorced. He's
what-
Kanye divorced, but with kids. Yeah.
Well, is he Kanye divorced in that he's making up lies about Hitler inventing things that he palpably did not invent?
I mean, there's definitely some Hitlery shit going on with the whole Reclaim Party and
True.
swastikas and whatnot. So I don't know, buddy. I think he's there. I think he's there. I think he's a 1 on the Glinner scale.
No, fair enough.
I think it's difficult to pick between them. I think as a trans person, you would be inclined to say Glinner is the more divorced human being, because all his focus is on trans shit.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Whereas Lawrence Fox, he's an equal opportunities bigot. He doesn't like the LGBT people. He doesn't like the immigrants. He doesn't like anyone with brown skin. He doesn't like fucking anything. Actually, it doesn't seem that he.
But that's
really
outrageous because we are the most tolerant country in the world. So.
Yeah, I mean, there was a government report into where the government investigated the government and found that the government wasn't racist at all.
Yeah,
I remember that. And the Met Police. You remember the Met Police commissioner who thoroughly checked all the evidence and discovered that he wasn't racist either, and neither were any of his mates. It's crazy.
Yeah, the CIA found out they had nothing to do with crack as well, so it's fine.
I don't want to. I wouldn't want to make any false statements. Clearly, there have been some very thorough investigations by some clearly impartial parties who also happen to be the parties who are being investigated. And
well, who would know more about it than the people being investigated themselves? It makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
That's true. That's true. Actually, this is.
We
are actually one of the fairest countries because we get the people who know the most about the thing to do the investigating of the thing.
Who knows more about the murder than the murderer?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
We are honestly...
And if the murderer finds out that he didn't do it, then we just have to take his word.
True. It's so funny to me when we dare to lecture other countries on their responsibility to weed out corruption. Are you fucking joking? Like, we might as well be stood there with the murder weapon and blood dripping from us going, I'm not guilty, guys, honest, you know?
We are fucking obscenely corrupt in this country. Yeah, no, it's disgusting. I don't fucking, take the EHRC, which is like headed up by Tories, and I don't even know how that organization ever was supposed to meet its fucking remit, right? Like, the whole point of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission is that commissioners are appointed by the Women and Equalities Minister of the current government.
Yeah.
So, how is this supposed to be an independent organization? It's so fucking
Can I just check? Is it currently still TERF motherfucker Kemi Badenoch who is appointing these people to that? Oh, okay. Yes. So it's a fair, balanced, and impartial organization.
Yeah, no, in fact, she recently appointed another one of her mates. I did a whole thread on that person. I can't remember her fucking name off the top of my head, but essentially just a person who has been campaigning for the Tories for fucking ages gets a position at the supposedly independent watchdog organization that is supposed to hold the government to account on matters of human rights.
I wonder why they can't find all of the obvious evidence of Islamophobia within the Tory party.
It's fucking insane to me, isn't it? Yeah,
crazy stuff.
You want to get really fucking spicy? You could talk about the report into Jeremy Corbyn's Labour as well, couldn't you?
Well, I think it's interesting that they were very shit hot on the relatively minor amounts of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, but the overflowing sea of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism within the Conservative Party. Yeah, it doesn't need to be investigated. It's
not a fucking peep, and they keep fucking issuing advice that is contrary to current law in regards to trans people. Yeah. Don't know why that's happening. Clearly a very independent. And then Michael Gove has the keys to the Electoral Commission. That's pretty great. God, fuck. What else? There's just a lot, Kev. We're a very corrupt country.
And that's for that. Well, we haven't even mentioned the huge amounts of money spent on Tory donors and stuff. Like, it's corruption at every level in every possible way you can imagine.
Tory donors who also happen to be BBC commissioners, right?
True.
Like, our independent state broadcaster does seem to have an awful lot of Tory donors, ex-Tory campaigners, etc., heading up the organisation. It's very weird.
Almost as many
Very
as
weird
GB
how that
News.
happens. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Well, it's all right. You know, there's no conflict, really,
No, it's
with
fine.
Jacob Rees-Mogg having his own show on GB News, because it's not a news programme, okay? It's called GB News, but it's not news. It's opinion. He can offer his opinion. He can have a podcast, Kev, all right?
True.
There's no conflict of interest
None at
there.
all. None at all.
None.
At all. Except,
None.
of course, that Dominic Raab has already announced that he's going to be going there as well, and he's still a sitting MP.
Ah.
But it's not news, so it's fine.
It's not news. It's just called GB News, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
They don't do news.
No. I mean, that's literally true, but they do profess to do news.
And I think heretical thoughts need to be discussed. So that is why I
You don't do heretical thoughts, you just do hatred. That's the point. Like, the word dissident, whoever taught right-wingers the word dissident needs to be slapped. Because they're not doing dissident thought or, you know, edgy. No, you're just being pricks. You're just doing racism. You're just doing transphobia. That's all it is. It's not like Galileo putting out truth in the face of the Catholic Church's orthodoxy.
No.
You're just being bigots.
They do like to complain an awful lot about how academia is just groupthink and whatever. And while I agree to a certain extent that being in a particular academic space can make you be in a little bit of a thought bubble, where it's difficult to get new ideas in, if you do have a new idea that is supported by reasoned argument and evidence, then it's nearly always celebrated. Because, you know, it's like when I was doing history, like people are just bored of hearing the same ass takes over and over and over again. If you have something solid, that shit's celebrated. That's what makes you famous as an academic. And Kathleen Stock, to be clear, is not famous as an academic.
No.
She quit that post, and that's what made her famous. Like, she's a famous huckster.
Yeah, she's famous for having been cancelled and has never shut up about it because she's not actually been cancelled in any real way.
No, she's making money hand over fucking fist with her various fucking shell fraud organizations, chucking out fraudulent studies to prove the things that she's already biased to believe.
Yeah.
Quote unquote prove.
Anyway, let's listen to this thing on national terrestrial broadcaster Channel 4 about how she was silenced by being given a TV show.
I commend the motion to you.
For the past few years, a toxic culture war has been raging across the United Kingdom.
The level of toxicity now and misunderstanding that's out there is just huge. We didn't have to be...
I mean, you laugh, Viv, but clearly she's been misunderstood, and she's going to tell us how she's been misunderstood, I'm sure.
I was just laughing at the very sincere way she was going, a toxic culture war has been raging across. I'm just like, oh my fuck. It's so just fucking infantile.
It's pro-faced nonsense. Yeah.
We're just living in very, very infantile times.
It's the worst timeline ever, yes.
It's not a culture war. What has happened is that the Tories and the British media have elevated a particular cadre of hateful fucking bigots who are being used to legitimize the government's attack on LGBTQ people, because the government is fucked at the moment and has absolutely nothing to offer the British people because they've failed on everything. Nobody can afford a house. Can't afford
bread.
Nobody can afford to heat their fucking homes. Nobody can afford electricity. Nobody can afford food. Everybody is fucking economically deprived in this nation. And so the only thing they have is attack minorities and try and make themselves the champions of getting rid of the malign enemy within and without, and that happens to be immigrants and LGBT people.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening. This is not a culture war. This is a government-sanctioned attack on minorities.
Yes, indeed. And you've even had Conservatives literally say they're going to use people with, prior sort of leftist or liberal credentials, lesbians, people like that, who wouldn't be traditional fare for their kind of messaging, as a kind of human shield. We're not bigots. Yeah. We're not bigots. Julie Bindle's a lesbian. That's that sort of thing.
Yeah, Julie Bindle, famed left-wing person who has regular columns in The Spectator, known for its defense of raging fucking neo-Nazis.
And actual Nazis in the form of, was it, In Praise of the Wehrmacht? I seem to recall being one of those.
Yeah, actual Nazis, not just neo-Nazis as well, yeah.
They go,
fucking nuts.
OG Nazis, if you will.
OG Nazis, yeah. Julie Bindle, yeah. She's a regular columnist for the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
Solid left-wing credentials there. Regular guest on GB News. She had that wonderful piece on GB News not so long ago about how she doesn't want to be associated with the homosexual community because the latest letter added to the LGBT alphabet is P for pedo, and I don't want to be associated with pedos. And the LGBT community is just welcoming in the pedos. Julie fucking Bindle of gay panic fame.
Also, if you just want to be associated,
fucking woman.
If she doesn't want to be associated with pedos, I don't know what she's doing in the gender critical movement then.
Very true. James Cantor, Jermaine Greer. Who else am I thinking of? There's a few. Oh, fucking Ray Blanchard, who they love to quote all over the fucking place. Seems a little bit too sympathetic to paedophilia for my tastes, frankly. Yeah.
Be here, but we are.
Opinions on the meaning of sex and gender have become so polarized
there's Katie John
that many people are afraid to speak out.
I'm not. Put me on the documentary.
Someone like...
No, you might say heretical things.
That's the thing, right? Yeah, I don't think the Overton window allows for my opinions.
No. Well, you are... no, I won't say it. Terms of service. No, but you're too outspoken. You couldn't be trusted to just do the script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
I would tell them to shove any script they gave me up their fucking arses. It's true.
Like me, who chooses to engage with others, is seen and has been called, a quisling, a saboteur, a betrayer, platforming of hate and a danger to their own community.
Would you describe them in that way?
A lot of people I know have described them in that way.
That is not the question I asked you, goddammit.
And after her, I've avoided looking deeply into the shit that she does. Up until basically a few days ago, right? Because I was like, okay, I know Katie, she's around. I can't be bothered with the fucking bullshit. I'm just gonna leave it. I can't be bothered. But she's getting so much national attention now, I couldn't help but take a fucking look. And I think capitulating on the issue of trans sport is a very, very good example of how she's hurting her own community, yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. If I can find the thing I need to click. There we go.
And not making people feel safe.
I think about the language that is used about us. We're the trans debate, the trans issue, and I think, how have we got to that point? It's dehumanizing. We're a debate, we're an issue, we're a question. We're not human beings with lives.
Yeah.
Where's the Flash? We should know who these people are.
Yeah, it doesn't tell
when
me.
When you first see somebody in a fucking documentary, you should have their name and why they're relevant to the subject. Professor of blah blah blah. You should have that under their name.
You really ought to, yes.
This is just shit documentary making. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think the thing we're going to see is what they call made documentaries, which is basically there are two main types, and there's a kind of hack way of doing it, which is made and then not, which is instead of just following the subject and letting them tell their story, which is documentary making, made documentaries are essentially, I don't know, I suppose like Michael Moore in a way, that what you've got an outset of you know exactly what you want to say. And you, as the director, are just going to direct it completely. So basically, it's like a shit film rather than it being a documentary that explores a topic.
It's like one of the lesbian project studies.
Yeah, basically, yes, it's like that. You have an.
I have a conclusion.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and find any evidence that supports that conclusion and ignore as much of the evidence as possible that doesn't support it.
Exactly. Yeah, you have an outcome in mind, and that's going to be reached regardless. Which is not honest, you know.
And a lot of people were tricked into doing this. I've heard. There's been several people who are involved in this who've written things after the fact saying, "I was misled on what this documentary was going to be."
Oh my god! Have they pulled?
They haven't included even. They've only included a minor, tiny part of what I said. All that sort of stuff.
So they pulled a Dinesh D'Souza on them.
It does seem so on some of the trans people and allies that did the show, yeah.
For those that don't know, if you remember Dinesh D'Souza's film, which one of them was it? I can't even remember. Where he tricked like Richard Dawkins and various other scientists by saying it was about science. They wanted to talk about science, and it's a creationist film. So they cut it up and made him sound like Richard Dawkins was saying, "Yay, God's awesome! He created everything." You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, a lot of right-wingers have been trying to do that recently. Matt Walsh did it for his fucking "What is a Woman" thing.
This is the Whams!
Out about that.
Which is the women's?
There's a few. Michael Knowles is currently trying to get one done, and has sent emails out pretending that it's a trans-positive documentary to get trans people
all aboard the grift train, everybody.
It's fucking disgusting, mate.
Yeah,
why you all have to fucking lie and misrepresent shit so much if you're right? That's my question.
Well, exactly, yes. Well, because they sort of know they're not, and they don't care. They're not interested in science.
They do know they're not. We're going to get onto that because Kathleen does make a couple of statements in this that I know she knows are false. Ooh. Not just that are false, but that I know she knows are false.
Interesting. In order to add to Nick, how's Rory Cat's doing? He is fine. He's currently licking his leg over there, so that's him. But also, if you wanted to help me out financially with that, you can do so in the usual ways, and also drop me a PayPal or a thingamajig, because that bill was expensive. He ate rat poison. He's a very stupid cat, but adorable. Yes.
Lives and loves and feelings were a problem to be solved.
Look at them; they're so scary. They just look like little normal people. They're doing a protest.
Crazy, isn't it?
This is really weak. If this is the best you've got,
scary music over people with signs.
Yeah, it's literally like "Be afraid, be very afraid" music, which you would see playing over Bin Laden or Hitler or something. And yeah, it's just these are just nice people doing a protest. Okay, isn't that a good thing? No. Oh.
You would think so. The Tories don't think it is, though.
True.
Just by looking at me, because it's a fixed thing. It was fixed before I was born, and I'll be female. Hint, I've outed myself until I die.
Battle lines have been drawn, and any constructive dialogue seems to have become impossible.
What's the fundamental?
True, which is why you should always use soup, I find. Soup is a very good dialogue. I'm just saying. Not in connection to anything. Just, soup.
I like soup.
Oh,
Soup for my family.
a wink.
The thing we're arguing about is whether a trans woman is a woman or whether a trans man is a man. That's the most controversial thing that I could have ever said, is that I don't think trans women are women.
Being recognised
Well,
as a sex you consider...
I guess with inside this topic, yeah, but also you did call for them to have their rights removed. Like, I personally don't give a fuck if someone really thinks a trans person is X, Y, or Z. On an individual level. Because, like, some people are just wrong, whatever. It's the arguing for the taking away of rights that really does upset me. Yeah. You can't... If you do that, you're no better than a fucking Nazi then, are you? Really? Because fundamentally, you're going to lead to the same place, ultimately. The guy who was speaking earlier, talking about, we're a situation where this, where that. Like, you're 5 minutes away from one of these dickheads going on about the final solution to the trans problem or something.
Well, I mean, they've all pretty much done it already, you know? Most of them signed that document calling for the elimination of the practice of transgenderism. Yeah. But even going back to the 70s with Janice Raymond in the Transsexual Empire writing the only solution is to morally mandate transsexualism out of existence. Like,
lovely.
The foundation of the gender critical movement is to get fucking rid of trans people. Yeah. They've been final solution for a while.
255, no, I don't think she's doing the voiceover. I think it's a different person. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be an independent fucking balanced documentary, would it? You fool, you idiot, in the fucking chat there, trying to say that in such a nicely balanced documentary with opinions from all sides that Kathleen Stock might be narrating it. You utter bumbling fucking twat.
Exactly.
Honestly.
She just wrote the script that someone else read. So it's fine and balanced.
I don't know that she did, actually. I don't think she did write the script.
No, of course she didn't.
She didn't need to. She's had 100 fucking newspaper articles and complimentary interviews in which she's essentially dictated all you could need to mine a script from.
Yeah. Also, but those are all her being silenced, though.
Well, it's important that this person collates all those and puts them into documentary form so that people can actually hear them, given she was so silenced before.
So silenced.
Has been legally possible for trans people since gender recognition certificates were introduced in 2004.
That's
but in
mad that it was 2004.
Discussions began to reform the process.
A person wanting to legally change his or her gender in the UK faces a number of steps, including a medical diagnosis, living in the chosen gender for at least 2 years, and paying a fee. But campaigners say the process is fine.
Which, by the way, all of the parties sort of agreed on this at one point, right?
That it was a bit much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even Theresa May. Wait, was it Theresa May? Yeah, I think it was Theresa May. Committed to reforming the Gender Recognition Act.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Like as recently as Theresa May.
Yeah, exactly.
There were still fucking Tories.
No, that was three prime ministers ago. But that's not in British terms. That's
pretty
not
recent.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Theresa May is pretty recent. She left in 2021.
No. Before then, no, because
really
2019, wasn't it?
She left. Bojo.
Yeah.
Oh God. Has it been that long already? Yeah. I'm so fucking old, Kevin. Yeah. I'm so fucking old.
She left about 20 lettuces ago, I think. That is the way. That is how we judge time now in the UK. It's how many lettuces.
Yeah, she left in 2019. Yeah. Jesus, motherfucking Christ.
Mad.
But yeah, so I'm pretty sure Theresa May committed to reforming the gender.
She did indeed. Now, well, and Boris Johnson, as the incoming prime minister, still technically led the government for whom that was their goal. And then I think he scrapped it in the 2019 manifesto, if I recall. But yeah, so it wasn't that long ago, and the Scottish Tory Party agreed with it up until last year.
Yeah.
So that's how far the kind of Overton window or whatever has changed. The Tories are now allowed to be more honest with their genocidal hatred of trans people.
And I think it is very much linked to how much it's ramped up in the US as well.
Oh, undoubtedly,
yeah. It's just like the US is ramping up their anti-trans hate. So as long as we don't seem quite as unhinged as them, we can argue that we're still not being bigoted, and we're reasonable. We have concerns.
And in a more direct sense, we know that groups like the LGB Alliance have had American money.
Yeah. Also, it didn't help that what was it? The Scottish government were doing their GRA reform at the time when there's this conflict around Scottish independence and so on. So in order to, it was a two birds with one stone kind of trick there, really.
Well,
like we can degrade Nicola Sturgeon by using this issue. Yeah.
But in a way, it very much helps the side of Scottish independence, because if there's one thing Scottish people don't like, it's posh British cunts in wigs going, no, Scotland, you can't have that.
Yeah.
They'll just go, well, we'll fucking have it anyway, you prick. Away with you.
I wholeheartedly support those Scots who want independence from the UK.
I can't in good faith
I can't blame them.
or reason ask them to stay. I want them to stay just because without them we've got Tory England and that's unbearable. But I can't in good faith ask them to vote to remain. That's like they do deserve independence, not just on a basic right of self-determination, but I mean, like in a kind of larger political sense. They didn't vote for Brexit. They haven't voted for any of these governments we've had for the last 20 fucking years,
As soon as I'm able to, and I know there's a lot of trans people who think the same. I want to leave the UK. I want to leave this country, and I think a lot of other people do.
Well, you're going to see a lot of brain drain. Yeah. Literally, I mean, whether it's the trans thing or whether it's kind of reintroducing a kind of Section 2080 thing that they've sort of hinted at, although I doubt that will actually get through. Or whether it's...
Mate, you won't have it. You get rid of all the trans people, you'll have a complete collapse of your IT systems. Okay, you won't have a coder in sight.
Exactly,
and the thigh-high socks industry will collapse.
True, and think about the Blaha industry.
IKEA just won't be able to support itself in the UK anymore. Who the fuck wants to buy IKEA furniture? Nobody. They're supported entirely on the purchase of Blahas by femboys and trans people.
True. Anyway, I was going to make a serious point. Whether it's that or whether it's the fact that their anti-immigration stuff is so mental now. Did you see their plan? I don't know if this will ever be implemented, but their plan was, they basically say if you've got an undergraduate degree as an immigrant, you're not allowed to stay. But if you have like anything beyond that, and you do that in Britain, you can stay, because we want highly trained, educated, skilled people to remain in the UK if they want to. They're going to get rid of that as well now. So if you're, say, an Indian, and many of them are, of course, a lot of Indian people, and there's cultural and historical ties between the nations. Let's not dig any deeper into that. It's murky waters, but so they'll come over.
Let's just say we've been friendly for a while.
Yes, we've done mutually beneficial exchange of goods and services. Okay, let's leave it there. And genocide. So.
Yeah, I mean, we took slaves and tea, and they got the recipe for kedgeree.
True,
fair trade, all things considered.
Absolutely. So if you come over and do like a master's degree, that doesn't give you the right to remain in the UK. So we're gonna spend public money. Although they do pay a lot of it themselves because the cost for foreign students is ridiculously expensive, but they'll train in British universities to do a master's degree, and then we'll just kick them out because they're brown.
Yeah,
it's just, what kind of brain drain shittery are you trying to do? Are you trying to destroy the country? Like you say, all of the trans people are going to fucking leave. A lot of gay people are going to leave. A lot of these highly trained, skilled migrants aren't going to be able to remain. Also, you can say we stopped the boats, which you didn't stop. You're not going to stop. It's fucking water. People are going to start coming in boats. It happens.
Speaking of water, I'm going to go grab myself a glass. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Good. You go and do that. Everyone, you can hit the follow button. You can subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can give subs to the community. These are things that are available to you as options. If you want to help me out with Rory Cats, I'll just give you a little show of Rory Cats if I can. Where is he? Where is he, the lad? Boom. Sleeping like a legend. Anyway, yes. You can do so via the Discord link, but not Discord. The Super Chats by the Streamlabs link below. and PayPal, which is available as well. You can also gift. You can also do bits messages. 200 bits or more gets you a text to speech. Via the super chats, $2 or more gets you a text to speech. You can hit me up on. You can follow me on. No, you can help me out on Patreon. You can do Discord, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. These are places I am available. If I hit the follow button, I will unfollow, and I don't think you want that. Well, okay, if you are not currently followed and you hit the follow button, that would be good. Correct. I've been watching GB News for the past few days to understand the Conservative brain. Don't do that, Soloy. It'll drive you fucking mental.
Sniffy kapoop.
Thank you, The Quiet One, for gifting a sub to Zoop. Much love to you both. Is he seeming better? Yeah, he's very much not quite back to full energy, and he is definitely annoyed that I can't let him out because I've got to give him these tablets for the next week. And the the vet, whatever, the animal doctor said that I can't let him out for the next week, so he has to stay indoors, and he's not enjoying that at all. He is climbing the fucking walls. Are you back? You're wiggling.
I am back.
So I assumed you were
I
back.
am back. Yeah. Did you, yes. How much of this have we fucking watched? I feel like we've only watched 2 minutes of it. How long is this show? It's 50 minutes.
It's 50 minutes, and we've watched 4 minutes and 51 seconds so far.
Okay, we should probably... Yeah.
An hour? Okay.
Yeah, let's watch some of it.
And a decision will be made soon on any proposed changes in England and Wales.
Kathleen Stock was amongst those who submitted her views.
I knew that there were people saying self-ID is a brilliant idea and getting loads of adulation for it, but I couldn't see anyone arguing the opposite case.
Kathleen took the decision to clarify her position publicly.
There is a particular worry about the extent to which trans...
I saw loads of people arguing that we shouldn't kill all the Jews, and I didn't see anyone arguing the opposite. Yes, sometimes your argument's just bad.
I don't know if I'd draw that comparison right now, but sure, yeah.
I would, because it annoys them.
It does annoy them. And to be fair, the gender critical movement is extraordinarily anti-Semitic and is essentially just blood libel and the protocols rehashed.
Yeah. Also, I think I'm going to start referring to them as Fitler. Female Hitler.
Well, I mean, that would work if
Adult.
only the gender critical movement wasn't majority men. Yeah.
Adult human Hitler. Fact.
Women are coming to dominate political landscapes in the UK, formerly reserved for women, and the extent to which trans women
doing
can
this?
properly represent women's experiences and concerns, given very different social histories and biologies. Saying that trans women are women, or are not, is not like saying that grass is green or rain is wet.
I knew that in writing that blog post and hitting send and putting it on Twitter, I do think of that moment as sort of like a sliding doors moment.
No, let's not do that. She has massive hands. Let's not be transvestigating in chat, shall we? Let's not do that. It is funny because they are weird gender essentialists, but still, let's be better. When they go low, we go slightly less low. Okay?
Or as low, but a different kind of low.
Yeah. Now it's Channel 4.
Look at this. This is... I don't know
Almost
how she
immediately,
survived this.
students began to protest against what many of them considered to be her transphobic views.
Clearly there were some very anxious students at Sussex who really believed I wanted to hurt them. And it didn't matter how many times I tried to explain that that's not what was going on at all. They believed it.
Because you signed the WHRC declaration. Like, that will not
Demand
be mentioned
grew
in this
for
documentary
Kathleen to
at
leave
all.
the position she had held
Oh,
for 18
look at
years.
that. Kathleen, stop looking sad at home.
Oh, we should feel sorry
The
for
world seemed to have
her.
gone absolutely crazy.
This isn't one of the most ridiculously manipulative things I've ever seen. No, this is fine. This is honest journalism. Just, when you show protesters, show her on the verge of tears. That's absolutely.
How far
fine.
are we into the documentary so far?
6 minutes and 50.
6 minutes and 50. About 80% of it's been Kathleen Stock so far, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
But they have had like 2 people say a couple of lines, so.
That's true. That's true. I did do that.
I think, well, this is how we got into this mess in the first place. By not being able to say what we think.
This campus does not accept your transphobia!
If
There's
she's,
times when...
if she's not allowed to say what she thinks, how come I can never not fucking hear her? Like, am I not hearing her say that? And can she not understand the ridiculousness of saying that in a documentary which she's been in every newspaper for and which is currently on Channel 4? So, I mean, she might be very stupid or she might be a liar. I don't know which. I don't really care which, in all honesty.
She's a deliberate liar, and I will prove it.
Okay. Yeah, she's pulling a John Cleese, yeah. I'm being cancelled. Watch my hour-long documentary on how I was cancelled.
Sex. Biological sex category, which does not change no matter what you do to yourself, is the
Even
most
if you change
salient
certain sexual attributes.
This isn't about hating trans people. I think trans people should be protected under the Equality Act. It's an argument about categories, but it's not about individual trans people.
Yeah, there it is. It's not about individual trans people.
It's about the ideology.
Yeah. Jesus. Is Channel 4 public broadcasting or is it privately owned? It's privately owned, but it does receive some amount of public money on the basis that it's a relatively new station from the 1980s. So
Hey, Kev, I'm just wondering.
Go on.
What would you call a person who is born with primary and or secondary sexual characteristics from what we would typically think of as both male and female? What would you call that person? Somebody born with ovaries and a penis, for example, what would you call that person?
Hot.
Okay, but other than hot, right?
I don't really know what the medical terminology would be, but I've heard the phrase hermaphrodite used.
Oh, well, I think most people typically view that as a somewhat offensive term.
Is it? I don't. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what the fucking term is.
Intersex.
Intersex. Okay.
Is what I was going for,
okay.
right?
Go on then.
So, and intersex people, are they male or female? I'm confused.
Well, I mean, ultimately they are what they say they are.
Right. I mean, that seems to make some sort of sense, at least. It certainly makes more sense than saying that they are definitely 100% male or definitely 100% female biologically, and that these categories can never change.
Are you suggesting that gender is not, in fact, a binary?
I am suggesting that gender is not, in fact, a binary. But what I'm also suggesting, Kevin, madly enough, is that if one were to change some of their primary or secondary sexual characteristics post being born, that they might in fact be changing their sex.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that would mean that sex is neither binary nor immutable, Kevin.
Yeah, so the TERFs are wrong.
That would mean that the TERFs are wrong.
Yeah. I was
and
also
that Kathleen Stock stating that this is a fact is actually Kathleen Stock stating, I believe this. This is how I've chosen to categorize sex, and the way that other people, people like those who contributed to articles in the world's most foremost interdisciplinary science journal, Nature, the way they categorize sex is bullshit. And me, a philosophy professor of very, very short time, my opinion trumps all of them.
Yes. So even that Kathleen Stock was wrong, but you know what? I was also wrong.
Yeah.
Channel 4 is publicly owned but privately financed through advertisements.
That's not me proving that Kathleen Stock is a liar, by the way. Before you all get like, oh, well, that doesn't prove she's... wait, I'll get there.
She will.
I will. I make a promise, I follow up.
True.
Being trans is a form of eccentricism because you're outside of the normal curve of the normal distribution of how most people present or behave or appear.
Yes, is Katie John Wynn.
I just think that
I don't know this person, but anyone who opens up with some shit like trans is a form of excentrism, instantly I just think you're probably a bit of a wanker, aren't you? You're a melter. Sorry, I don't. She may have some other redeeming features or whatever, but
She does.
This is.
She's generally a very kind and lovely and caring person. And when I met her, and as I knew her, I felt very privileged to know her. I'm very disappointed, very upset with the path that she's taken.
Gender dysphoria comes to your mind either at an early age or around puberty, when your body is facing yet another change and you think, actually, you know what? This is stressing me and it doesn't feel right. I sought out every possible method of avoiding changing my body. My own psychiatrist
campaigning for trans dialogue. They couldn't even say trans rights.
I went to therapy.
Can we get some trans dialogue in chat, people? Let's go.
I'm just campaigning to talk about trans
therapy. I tried everything to avoid changing my body, but
trans dialogue is human dialogue.
Was so intense and lasted 30 years before I finally kind of gave in and actually thought, you know what, I've tried everything else. The last thing I can do actually is change my body. So belatedly I did, and it did bring instant relief. The war with myself is actually over.
Hang on, so if there was a direct medical causal link between your mental problem and your physical appearance, then clearly it's not excentrism. Clearly there's a medical issue at play. It's not excentrism is someone behaving a bit quirkily, wearing a top hat to the pub, you know, that sort of thing. Whereas this is a medical issue which you sought medical remedy for and you got medical relief for. That's, you know, you had a medical
Hey,
issue.
I'm fine. I'm fine with being eccentric. I'm a fucking freak.
Well, you can be trans and eccentric. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that trans people are excluded from being eccentric.
No, being trans is a perfectly normal variation of human gender and gender expression. Sure.
Especially when you get so many of these fucking upper class tough cunts who are all like cis straight dudes who are eccentric losers. Like, look at Boris Johnson. That's an eccentric, albeit a forced eccentric. He's not really like that.
I believe we do have a trans lord. I think.
Do we? Oh, well, there you go.
I think we do.
Well, we have I still don't get the Tory one. I apologise, I don't know their progress.
Oh, yeah, no, I know who you mean.
Yeah, who was formerly presented as a man, and I still think does present in a generally traditionally male way, but is claims to be a trans person. Yeah.
I think they're not. I think they're not transitioning in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
He just said, I am trans.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do anything about it, but I am.
Yeah.
And okay, fair.
Fine. Yeah. We're not.
I guess to a certain extent.
We're not doing true scum stuff here. You don't have to do things. No, Fabricant is not the one in question, although his hair is eccentric. So under this person's definition,
I've recently been convinced actually that Michael Fabricant's hair is not a wig.
No, it probably isn't a wig. Yeah, it's
I've taken some
hair.
pretty close. Yeah. I've taken some pretty close looks, and I think it might. It might actually be his real hair. It's crazy.
Have you been? I don't even know. Transvestigating a man's scalp.
I haven't been It's not transvestigating.
It's the equivalent. You've been scalp-vestigating him.
Scalp-vestigating. I've been.
I don't know. Well, there isn't usually a word for checking out a guy's syrup, but that's what it is.
I've been engaging in a little bit of toupee detective shit.
Yes. You are the fucking Holmes of the toupee world, and I appreciate that.
Exactly. Well, elementary. It's growing out of his skull.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I never felt it actually was a wig. It just looks so bad that you're kind of hoping it is a wig, because at least that would explain why it's so fucking awful.
I don't know what's going on.
Look,
there.
If your hair is that bad, just shave it off, mate. Or try something.
I don't know if he dyes it. Maybe he dyes it.
I think he's old enough now where it must be dyed. There's no way you keep that vibrant colour at his
But
age.
what if he doesn't? That's some crazy genetics there. If it's just
well,
like,
maybe it's my...
no, I'm 70 years old. I have this enormous full head of like fucking sun blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, exactly. My theory, and I think this stands, it's not a wig. What it is an alien life form that has formed a symbiotic relationship by attaching itself to his scalp, and they live together in a kind of mutually beneficial thing. So he might live to 200. We don't know. And he'll still have the same hair.
Possible.
He'll have shrunk down to the size of a fucking thumb, but he'll still have that hair.
Do you think the aliens are Tory too?
I don't
Or do you
know.
think it's just like it attached to the first thing it found and was kind of stuck there and lives its life in perpetual torment, going, Jesus Christ, anybody but this cunt.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no other suitable
Mind you,
host.
it'd be surrounded by other Tories, many of which who are worse than Michael Fabricant.
Yeah, exactly.
Fabricant is not actually that bad as Tories go. I mean, he's still a Tory. He's still vile, scum of the earth piece of shit. But he's not a vile, scum of the earth piece of shit covered in vomit and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rotting corpses. Whatever.
He did do a naked bicycle ride as well, so that's sort of fun.
That is kind of fun. Although Michael Fabricant naked is not.
No, but at least it shows he's got a semblance of humanity that I think is beyond most Tory MPs.
Yeah.
And an ability to kind of laugh at himself, which is good because he is a very risible character.
If you're Michael Fabricant, you've either got to laugh at yourself or you're going to have a very bad time, I feel.
True.
Yeah.
But now I have a war with society instead.
Katie spends a lot of her time immersed in trying to make sense of the current controversy.
I believe that we should always start by reading
she's
that
got all
which
the books.
we disagree with, because that helps us to get outside our echo chambers and our bubbles. And so I deliberately read every book that's published that is counter.
So do I, but
there are degrees to which both the extremes of gender-critical opposition to trans and some extremes of trans rights activism have moved into
also,
this.
we get it. You like books. Yeah, we get it. You're a booky person. Book. Fuck me.
She's got a lot of books, hasn't she?
Like, that's a desk, and you've purposely piled books in the incorrect fashion.
In front of the monitor, the computer
exactly.
monitor.
So that's clearly not how you actually have your office set up. This is
No,
farcical.
just put those books there for the show.
Yeah, this is silly. This is really silly.
It's kind of funny, actually. I hadn't noticed that. Oh, dear, Katie.
Polarized, extremist, radicalized position. The most extreme will close ranks and shun and ostracize both the
cat's like,
gender critical.
Get these books off my fucking bed.
And yet it's the moderates in both camps where it is the only hope, really, for social coexistence.
So who are the moderate? Who are the fucking Katie? Who are the moderates in the gender critical camp? I hope you're not suggesting that Kathleen Stock, who signed a document calling for the elimination of transgenderism and the removal of most of our rights, I hope you're not saying that she's one of the moderates. Personally, I would kind of agree. I think Kathleen Stock, as gender criticals go, is kind of moderate. But in comparison to like what the discussion should be, she's a fucking extremist. They're all extremists. It's an extremist movement. This is like saying you want to have a fucking nice sit down with the moderate members of ISIS. Fuck off.
Yeah.
There are no moderates in the fucking gender critical movement.
Are you
Kathleen Stock is about as moderate as it gets.
Are you saying that they're like ISIS?
I'm saying that they are a religious cult hell bent on the elimination of certain groups that they don't agree with the lifestyles of. And if you think that makes them anything like ISIS, well,
all power to you.
All power to you. So far, they haven't committed any mass murders. I'll give them that.
I've not at this point seen J.K. Rowling behead anyone on camera.
Of course, they don't need to, though. That's the thing, right? Because they can just get the state to do it for them. They can interrupt, infiltrate, and fuck up the services that allow trans people to live, and then the trans people just die through neglect. Yeah. and that's that's fine. Apparently, that's not actual genocide. That's just
True. Thank you, Wayward Historian, for gifting us up to Mix Matty B. And also, I've just noticed she looks like she lives in the set for Black Books.
a little bit, yeah. I'm sorry if I get a bit impassioned during this. Like, I've been so angry over the last couple of days, and actually knowing this person makes it even fucking worse. Like, I am so upset with Katie. Like,
look,
genuinely.
I don't think anyone would expect you to be entirely calm and rational, given the subject matter.
I am entirely rational.
Oh, no.
I am not calm, but I am
okay.
entirely fucking rational.
Okay, entirely.
It would be irrational of me to be calm.
Chill. No one expecting you to be chill during the discussion. Okay, just. Good. It's fine. These people, not necessarily the person on screen right now, but the people more broadly that are pushing this kind of shite, do want you at least disenfranchised, if not dead. So, understandably, if you get a little bit passionate, that's fine.
I think Katie is just very, very interested in her own self-promotion. I've seen like a lot of what she's like done. So you look at her fucking Twitter at the moment, and it's the most boomer-esque self-promotion shit imaginable. She is retweeting every fucking article that mentions her.
What's the person's full name again? Sorry,
Katie John Went.
John Went. We will check out the. Oh, there they are. Okay.
Yeah, at Katie John, JON, not JOHN.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
And it's all with the fucking hashtags and the fucking.
Hang on, I'll put it on stream for everybody else.
Retweeting Kathleen Stock.
Hang on, there we go. Boom. Right. Oh, fuck's sake. There we go. Right. So it's she's retweeting that. She's into someone from Channel 4. Okay. Curious. I'd say Dr. Stock and I have more in common because we both dress androgynously like women and cats. Like women and cats, and can hold a debate without getting offended. That was her responding to Billy Bragg. Okay, it's a thing. Although I am with the good doctor regarding female spaces, I really wanted to say how nice it was to see the measured contribution you have made, rather than usually yelling, screaming, and cis woman hatred. It's so good to talk sensibly about different opinions. Thank you, says Jean Anastasi. Which, that might be that person's surname, but the Anastasi was also. Hang on, Anunnaki. No, it's a different thing. Sorry, no. I was thinking the Anunnaki, which is the Nazi archaeologists, but that's a different group.
Yeah. Hey, just a cross between the Anunnaki and the Stasi.
True. You are Nazi and for fuck's sake. I only said anarchists. Nazi anarchists, amazing. Nazi archaeologists / East German secret police.
Yeah.
Fact.
Great.
Kind of love this thread. Jolly Katie in a cozy, cluttered house with lots of books. Even wizard? What? That's weird. She's just retweeting Kathleen Stock. I'll be on BBC Radio 4 Moral Maze tomorrow. Cancel culture topic.
Yeah, she just does a tweet storm every sort of like few hours where she's just like retweeting anything that mentions her and any kind of like compliments she gets and any of the articles or whatever. I just think she's very interested in her own self-promotion. Whether that's because she believes that she has something incredibly important to say and add to the discussion, and that her idea of like moderate center ground, everybody should come to the middle and capitulate to only getting rid of half of the trannies. Maybe that's what she's thinking with that. It's just like as much as she can uplift her own voice, she gets more power in the conversation to get what she wants. Maybe that's her goal, if I'm being charitable.
But do you think it's possible that the person who has stacked piles of books in front of their television monitor in a way that they would definitely, or computer monitor, in a way that they wouldn't normally, is interested in self-aggrandizement?
I
couldn't
possibly make that.
This gives me very humble vibes.
I'm loving the like. Some of them are like straight up as well. Like, they're very obviously organized. It's like crazy. Jesus.
Yeah.
All with the spine. All with the spines facing the camera too.
Yeah. Oh God, she retweeted Jess Phillips. Oh no.
Yeah.
Watched the first half of Gender Wars last night. Its name doesn't give credence to the fact that it seems like the first attempt by broadcasters in brackets to deal calmly and kindly with the subject. Sure, many will hate it, but it seemed like a good start at the very least.
Jess Phillips can go suck a stick of rock.
True.
I hear they're quite tasty and very sugary.
They are. Are you wishing diabetes upon her? Because that is harsh.
No, I'm wishing her
a tasty treat.
A tasty treat, yeah. But
well, anyway, shunned by both sides.
Looking sad in a car, looking sad in a car.
Rumours, lies, distortions proliferate so quickly.
Like what?
And I could
You
see
keep
it happen.
saying this.
People were, she hates trans people.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like I was increasingly under siege.
Siege. Oh my God!
When
Speaking
you're in
music,
it,
person with a
there's this
megaphone.
incredulity, like
Literally dancing.
What?
Literally just dancing.
Yeah, I'll be honest, dancing is usually seen as a positive and joyous thing, but apparently we should
The
be...
spooky ass music.
A person is moving rhythmically, possibly to music or something, and therefore we should be all afraid, very afraid. Fuck me, this is one of the most ridiculously scripted documentaries. This is farcical.
It's a very balanced look.
Yeah, it's the Antifas. Be scared of the Antifas.
I find it really interesting, actually. The people who have got the most screen time so far are Kathleen Stock, the person who is, I will charitably say, calling for us to come to the middle ground, and not anybody who's really opposed. Right? We've had the two people who might be opposed. We don't really know, right? How heavily they oppose Kathleen Stock, but they got a sentence each. And then everything's been focused on Kathleen Stock and Katie John Wentz so far. So I'm still searching for the balance, and we're about a quarter of the way through, I believe.
Well, Anarcho Arachnid has a question for you. So is Katie John Went like Debbie Hayton?
I think Katie John Went is headed in the direction of Debbie Hayton, but no, Katie John Went is not like Debbie Hayton.
Who is Debbie Hayton, for those who do not know?
Debbie Hayton is a full-on transphobic trans person who's a common guest on Graham Linehan's podcast, refers to herself quite often as a man, was pictured actually wearing a fucking t-shirt saying trans women and men get over it. Big friends with the LGB Alliance. Basically, she's just a straight-up TERF who happens to be trans. Yeah.
So she's British Blair White?
Yeah, I'd even say worse, frankly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She is the most self-debasing, weaselly, slimy, oily, unctuous little quisling I've ever set eyes on in my entire fucking life. I'd even say she's worse than Miranda Yardley, who is the same kind of thing. Yeah.
What's happening now? What do I have to defend now?
Your positions?
She has not defended anything yet.
She keeps going. If she didn't like it, she'd stop.
Kathleen Stock, a philosophy professor who was criticised for her views
Make
on
a
gender
position.
identity, has resigned from the University of Sussex. Kathleen Stock.
I thought she was fired.
Resigned to go where?
They all keep saying she was fired when she wasn't fired.
Yeah, she resigned. And where did she go? What did she resign for? Oh, it was to set up a right-wing think tank in the United States. A right-wing think tank that's basically fucking failed at this point, which is why she's now started up the new right-wing think tank, the Lesbian Project. Yeah.
Who is a respected philosophy professor, has stepped down from her position after weeks of protests by students who have accused her of...
I feel relaxed about what happened, and I think there's ways in which you can say I've gained
It's been very
a new
positive.
life, which I enjoy through it. And you think about the reason for which I have lost my career because I said there were two sexes.
No!
Biology made it that way. We didn't make the rules.
Is that
You
the thing?
You signed a document calling for the elimination of the practice of transgenderism and the removal of a significant portion of trans people's rights in the UK. That was one of the main objections that both the student union and the student protesters brought up ad fucking nauseum. It's the main objection that you refuse to fucking address ever. Whenever anybody fucking asks you about it, you dodge around it. You were fucking challenged about it by Katie Montgomery on LBC when you did the whole fucking call-in show and everything, and you dodged around it then. It's fucking disgusting that you refuse to engage with actually the substance of the people who are the substance of the critiques of the people who are against you. You just pretend like they're just spreading lies and misinformation and blah blah blah, but you refuse to engage with what they're actually fucking saying. What are the lies that they're saying? Why will you not address their substantive claims?
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to fight against the straw man than the actual argument of your opponent.
Yeah.
But it's helpful to have terms
It's
that
so
describe
annoying.
them.
It really is when they say, yeah, we were cancelled just for saying there are two sexes. No, I mean, you'd be wrong, but I suppose you're allowed to be wrong.
I was fired for saying sex is real. No, madam, you were fired for saying it in the middle of the department store, butt-ass naked, whilst flinging shit at passers-by.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, she wasn't fired for just saying there are two sexes, because people would just go, oh, well, that's dumb, and move on with their life. Like, it's not a problem. It's the fact that...
Well, it's a philosophy department. They might argue about it a bit.
Oh, okay. Well, they might argue about it, but ultimately you wouldn't get fired for having just a weird, wrong, controversial opinion. It's the calling for the end of the practice of transgender. The practice of transgender.
Elimination of the practice of transgenderism. So,
although you'd be okay because you don't need to practice at it. You've perfected it.
Aw, thank you, babe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
After leaving Sussex, Kathleen became more involved with the gender-critical movement. Alongside Julie Bindle, a veteran campaigner for women's rights.
God! Oh, God!
Feminists like myself.
Oh, no. TERF
Look at her fucking goose pecking the keyboard as well, peering over her glasses like, oh my God.
Oh, no. TERF Godzilla hoves into view. It's about to destroy Tokyo. Ah!
Oh, my God. This is the woman who said she wanted to put men in concentration camps, by the way.
She did. She did say that.
She wanted to put men in concentration camps, and if people women wanted to see their loved ones, they could take them out for a day, a bit like a library book, as long as they returned them.
Yeah, which is perfectly normal and wouldn't be a problem. I mean, I don't know where to begin. I really don't. Also, again, if she had such a massive problem, because this was apparently a way of her stopping rape from happening and stuff. Firstly, it would just internalize it against all of the men as well, because that's what happens in prisons. So you'd create the same basic thing. And secondly, all of the lesbian rapists in the GC movement, you think they'd have a problem with that? They don't seem to.
No.
AIDS are the ones saying, no, trans women are not women. We will treat trans women with dignity and with respect.
You sure about that? I don't see anyone saying on your side actually treating trans people with respect. I see plenty of them, like Posey Parker, going into the changing rooms and haranguing trans athletes. I see plenty of that. I see plenty of them calling for exterminationist rhetoric, Don't see a lot of respect.
I don't see a lot of dignity and respect, no.
No.
Of course, accept that they wish to live as the opposite sex, but they can't have the word woman. It's taken. It belongs to us. That is not up for negotiation.
Well, we're not
tough shit. We took it already. What are you going to do about it?
I was about to say, there's no negotiation. It doesn't belong to you. It's not a thing that it is yours. Like, I'm sorry that your life achievements are so pathetic that you think being a woman is the only thing important about you. That's a shame. I would argue therapy might be a more constructive way about this, though, rather than trying to take away people's rights. Stop externalizing your hatred and internalize and deal with it. Again, therapy helps in these situations.
Yeah. Roll tape.
Is where the battle line is for me. That is my line in the sand.
I don't question women's right to be. I don't question anybody's right to be. The transgender community has, on the whole, recognised its position at the bottom of the pile, and that we've been having to negotiate and talk to everybody along the way. In the 70s and the 80s, I mean, we were the dirt that people wiped off their shoes. The 90s was when we organised...
Oh, I'm glad things have moved on. Transgendered civil rights.
Transgendered civil rights. Yeah, I mean, they did good in the 90s, honestly. Did a lot of good.
And we created Press for Change, and gradually we won those core basic rights. Whatever we got...
Oh, sorry, I should say, this is Simon Whittle. My face was blocking out his name on the Chiron.
Yeah, Simon Whittle.
Simon Whittle, a professor of equalities law. And no, it's not OAP DJ Mule, although I can see how you would draw that conclusion, but it is not that.
To fight for through the courts, we were given absolutely nothing for free. We did everything that was needed to try and get people to understand that we were just like them, that we wanted ordinary lives.
If I couldn't see him, I would say, are we listening to an Alan Bennett bit? This is just Alan Bennett, isn't it?
I don't know who that is. Who the fuck is Alan Bennett?
You don't know Alan Bennett?
I'm trying. The name rings a bell, but I'm fucking drawing a blank, you know?
Sweet, merciful Jesus. You have not lived. He's a northern writer, I guess? I don't know. And he does these droll little stories about, my life. Here we go. Alan Bennett, Diary from the First Pandemic Year. Hang on. You must know Alan Bennett. He's like one of those famous fucking writers in Britain. Or was. I don't know. Actually, is he that relevant anymore? I don't even know. Where's Alan Bennett? No, that's not the right one. Is it that one? No, hang on. Why can't I change onto the other thing? Twitch. No. Alan Bennett, there we go. Fuck me dead. Right. Sorry everyone, I'm bad at this.
Diary selections from the pandemic year, March 2020 to March 2021, by Alan Bennett.
So it's just Alan Bennett?
1st of March. Thanks to arthritis, I'm now much less mobile than I was.
I mean, you're not streaming it, but I'll just take your word for
I
it.
could jump on my bike to pop down to
How much longer of this documentary to go?
Am I not streaming that to you?
No, you're not. You're being a fucking idiot.
Oh, fuck me dead.
Really?
I'd rather not. Necrophilia not on my list of things to do today.
Hello, good morning. Dr. Stephen Whittle was born a girl. He says that was just an accident of nature. So how did...
Why won't it play the thing now? What the fuck? It's so everyone can now hear it, but the video's disappeared. Oh god, has it got one of those fucking blocker things? Hang on a minute. Let's go to Firefox then, because Firefox gets round it. Yeah, that was Kilroy. You could hear Kilroy. True. Hang on, we're at the 13 minute mark. Fuck me. Right, copy. Apologies, everyone. Oh, it's gonna have to. Oh, it's gonna play ads again, isn't it? Oh no! Don't do this. Oh, for fuck's sake! Apologies. I now have to sign in on fucking Firefox. Mail.com. Talk amongst yourselves.
how does society treat people who have to change their gender?
Right. Apologies. Now I have to share with Viv, don't I? Right. No, that's not right. There we go. Right. Fucking hell.
And Stephen, when did you first realise that you were, as it were, in the wrong body?
At a very, very early age.
Did you feel traumatised or
Totally.
damaged?
I mean, I spent my teenage years thinking, how quickly could I die?
Really?
I thought I really, really could not bear the idea of working for 40 years as a woman, of supposedly thinking about getting married and having kids as
Are
a
you
woman.
all good, Kev?
It's
Yeah.
monumental.
Is that not playing for you?
No, it's still not playing, buddy. I'm not getting anything.
Oh, what the fuck? Hang on. This is very, very annoying. Right. Me. No. What? Hang on. Notifications, Twitch. Why won't it? Hang on. Why will it not allow me to share that? Right. Share tab audio. Right. Why won't it let me fucking do it? Apologies, everybody. We are going to work our way through this. It was working fine before. It doesn't appear to want to work fine now.
Nightmare.
Right. Can we share that? Apparently we can share that one. Right. Go.
All those things. And I just think, I mean, several times I tried to kill myself as a teenager.
We outed ourselves very visibly in the 90s at a time when nobody was out. But we went out there and we said, this is us, and we're speaking on television, on radio, in meetings. You know, we are the people with the horns and the tail. But actually, by doing that, we did develop that sense of resilience. We are not up for debate. We're here. And nobody's going to be able to turn back this tide and pretend we don't exist.
Being transgender, just like sex, is a protected characteristic under UK equalities law. But the attention directed at self-identification has led to anxiety in the community.
It's exhausting.
In the community. Which
Yeah.
which community are you even referring to there?
I'm assuming the trans community.
Well, right.
I don't know.
Well, okay, but there's communities within communities.
That's very, very true.
Anyway, yeah, you should all give me money for having to work out that technological glitch. Okay, because I'm bad at this, and
Just have money or else.
yeah, money might encourage me to be less shit. It won't, because I'm a lazy bastard. But you know,
these kind of fake debates, all this fear and moral panic and fake concern is whipped up just because there's some people that just don't get what it means to be trans. You know, trans men are men, trans women are women, non-binary identities are non-binary. If you're having a
hey, hello, Sister Rose, how are you?
problem with
non-binary identities,
then I think you've got to really question yourself. Do you feel that your views might be considered hatred?
What the fuck is this person?
We'll turn the noise off for a second.
I don't know. It's really difficult, right? Because I'm fully aware that like a lot of the people involved in this have said that like they've had huge portions of what they said completely clipped out, right? And I at the same time, it's just like that there, although I agree with the statement generally, is like one of the weakest fucking arguments in response. And I think that that's entirely the point of like picking out that particular bit to show the audience, right? I don't want to shit too heavily on the person that said it. If that's all they said, then well, yeah, okay, that was bollocks. Why did you even appear in the documentary? But like, there's a good chance that wasn't all they said. And it's just like, there are better arguments, and I'm sure they were presented than just simply we say that trans women are women, therefore, and if you don't agree, then you've got to consider whether or not you're engaging in hatred. Like, that's not going to fucking convince anybody. Not that this was ever meant to convince anybody of anything. It's just more gender critical propaganda. But
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Well, I think it is meant to try and convince normies who don't necessarily engage in this. And like you say, if
convince normies that Kathleen Stock has been terribly unfairly persecuted and is some kind of victim in all of it.
But like I say, if they've never heard any argument against Kathleen Stock's position, and the only argument so far posited is maybe you're a hateful bigot.
I'm struggling to discern what Kathleen Stock's positions are so far, to be fair. Like, so far she's said, basically, there are only two sexes. She's said everybody was mean to me and they spread lies about me.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe we'll get into
where's the substance of her fucking argument?
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get into it. That was just the opener. That was easing us in. And now we're full throttle.
Well, I feel at ease.
Good.
We're going to do something a little bit different now and talk to someone who's been at the centre of
fucking Ian Dale. How about he goes and takes a long walk
in the world of academia. It's a storm in the world of gender identity.
Since leaving Sussex, Kathleen has expressed her views.
Look at her being silenced.
Nauseating, turgid
Kathleen, I asked you a
fuckwit.
question. Am I male or female?
I don't know you, Farah, so how would I know?
Oh, I remember
I'm
this
a
one.
trans woman.
Well, then I'm
Am I
afraid
male?
you're genetically male.
It's
Yes.
Exactly, and this
It's
is
a
your
fact.
whole
It's
point.
your biology.
You
It was
tried to come
determined at
across on the radio as a
conception.
very
I'm
nice
sorry.
person, but you don't accept trans
No, I
women
don't
as
accept your
women.
changed sex, I'm afraid. I don't think it's scientifically possible. I think transness is a way of being what you always were. You're still a man, you're still a woman. I'm a woman. I'm a woman if I cut my breasts off. I'm a woman if I take testosterone for 20 years.
You sure about that? Because they seem to think that if you have body-altering surgery at all, the transvestigators especially, will absolutely rip on you for that. I've literally heard people going about how you're a woman because you have ovaries or because you are able to give birth. Does that mean a woman of your age isn't a woman anymore?
There are a lot of different ways. There are a lot of different ways to categorize sex.
Yeah. She's a philosopher. Yes. Yeah. So basically, she's
Not
like,
really, though.
Well, not really, but she's a philosopher.
She was a professor of philosophy, but like nowadays, she seems utterly opposed to engaging in any kind of philosophical thought whatsoever.
So this is basically Britain's rather shoddy answer to Jordan Peterson.
They're definitely trying to make her that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same basic get up. She's more obsessed with trans people than because Peterson will go on about this fat woman doesn't give me a boner. She shouldn't be on the front cover of a magazine. Whereas she doesn't quite go to that extent. But again, it's Britain versus Canada, which is like fake America anyway. So, it's a thing.
I'm a woman if I get facial hair, if I have a synthetic penis put in. I'm just
a synthetic
there are many different ways
penis?
to be a woman. There are many different ways to be a man. I know trans people.
Does she think they just glue a dildo on? Is that what they think? Is that what she thinks a trans man has downstairs?
Phalloplasty. Yeah.
Just they just give you a strap on and away you go. Like, okay.
God, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
For whom that works, they don't have to say.
Basically, the state of
I'm
trans
a woman,
healthcare in the UK at the moment, anyway.
A trans woman does not have to insist.
There's literally nobody doing phalloplasties for trans men in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, that's literally better than the current option of nothing.
It's a step up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's depressing.
Yeah, this fucking snowman's nose is a step up from your current option.
Just grab a carrot.
Yeah.
A bit of super glue. There you are, mate. Jeez.
That's an
The term
unbelievably
transgender
grim
includes
thought.
a wide range of identities.
Yeah.
Not only those who have physically transitioned.
There are plenty of trans people out there who can actually acknowledge biological reality and still say they are a woman or still say they're trans. Then, but there are internal fights within the spectrum of trans.
It's not engaged.
Why are
It's
we
not...
so obsessed around genitals and bodily organs and all the rest of it? At the end of the day, if someone's behaving well in society, their
Who's
body
not
parts
acknowledging
don't
biological
matter.
reality?
But yes, at the end of the day as well, also body parts are often what we can use to oppress each other and to commit crime. But it's again, I've said this before, but it's the crime.
Yeah, my dick robs banks all the time. It's true. No, not buying that one. Okay.
I no.
Okay.
That need to be monitored in that sense, not the genital policing.
Yeah.
What did she just say? I have no idea what the fuck she just said.
Something about it, don't do the genital policing thing, which, like, okay, but you're the one that's saying we should
fair
have a nice dialogue with the genital police. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean. This is pretty distasteful. Sarah
This is the Sarah Everett protest, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not saying the protest is distasteful. I mean, the use of it in this way is distasteful. For those who don't know, Sarah Everard was picked up,
abducted and murdered by a police officer.
Yes, yeah. But if you were being honest, to use it in this way is pretty bad because trans people are more likely to be murdered and or sexually assaulted than their cis counterparts. So the idea of using this as like, this is the reason we're doing this, well, clearly you're not doing it for that reason. And secondly, the idea that this was somehow some sort of TERF movement, which it wasn't. There were lots of trans people who were engaged in the Sarah Everard justice campaign. This was not like, for the most part, you wouldn't have been welcome. And I know that the TERFs would not have been welcome at this parade because the police stopped it.
True.
The police don't tend to wade into TERF marches, do they?
I haven't seen it happen so far, no.
To fight for our futures! To fight for our futures! And honour the women! And honour the women! Who can no longer fight for theirs! Who can no longer fight for theirs!
In case anyone was wondering why I do MetWatch, it's for shit like this. They're scum. Like, they're really, really evil. Like, even by the standards of British
police
policing,
dragging her out by her fucking hair, mate. That was something to see.
Well, I mean, really, in terms of PR, one of your officers just murdered this woman, and then they do a peaceful candlelit vigil for her, and you wade in heavy-handed. Like, do you not get that that's a bit on the nose, really, about how morally and actually corrupt you are? No? Okay. Fun times. Indeed, they were successfully sued for their handling of that.
Following Sarah
Yes.
Everard's murder, despite the public outcry, 125 women were killed by men. Male violence and the question of who might or might not pose a threat to women has become one of the central issues for both sides.
I think Kathleen Stock might be about to tell her knowing why now.
I got involved in this debate because of my work on male violence against women and girls. I volunteered in a domestic violence refuge, on a rape crisis line. Now, we set up those spaces not because all men are sexual predators, but because enough are.
I was about to say, is she doing a hashtag not all men bit? Because that would be very funny. At this precise moment, that would be quite a funny thing to do. But she's not, so I'll leave it.
To mean that women can't tell who is and who isn't going to harm them. And then along came some trans-identified
Need King
males,
on the case
trans
to
women,
arrange gender
who
police
said, "We
versus
have the right to be
metropolitan
in those
police."
spaces." Now, we'd set them up in order to keep men out. And that means all men.
How do we operate?
Now, you set them up in order to keep
operationalise-
abusers out. That's why they're really, really careful about who they let into rape crisis centres. They don't let just any old women through the fucking doors because, as we both know, Julie, the rates of domestic violence in lesbian relationships are higher than in cis relationships. And you don't want an abusive lesbian partner coming into the refuge any more than you want an abusive man coming into the refuge.
But she's not a man hater. She just instantly sets up the paradigm of all men are bad, but all women are fine.
I mean, basically, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Also, thank you, Crash Donnery with 200 bits. Need Don King on the case to arrange gender police versus Met police. Yeah, okay. I'm on board.
And I hate this framing of all of a
massive
sudden they say we ought to have the access to these spaces. Fucking trans women have been using rape crisis shelters for decades. Like there were speeches about this at the very first Dyke March, like, and that was back in the 70s. All right, so shut the fuck up, Bindle. Basically, is what I'm saying. Stop lying. Stop fucking lying.
Oh, fuck. No. Oh, please go back to where it was. Please don't make me look again.
Scale when we're dealing.
Okay. Don King, Mike Tyson's promoter. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's appropriate, really, because Mike Tyson was a rapist, or is a rapist, and so he should have no problem talking to the Met Police, who are full of rapists. Or the gender criticals, who are full of rapists.
There seem to be rather too many.
Just saying. I'm just saying, look, he's got previous, and he knows how to deal with the rape
I
community.
think that the crazy thing is, like, they will try and point to individual trans people, like people who happen to be trans, who have committed horrible crimes. Trans people are just people. Some of us will commit horrible
Hang
crimes.
on. Trans
Some
people
of
are
us...
people. Citation
they
needed.
They are. I know. It's insane. Some of them will commit horrible crimes. Some of them are horrible fucking people because they're just people. However, like within the trans like activist community, right, which is fairly disparate, to be honest, but like within that community, if somebody is outed as having committed some kind of act of sexual violence or sexual harassment or whatever, like there is an instant outcry against that person. Nobody wants anything to fucking do with that person. That person is instantly disavowed. Like, even to the examples they bring up about, like, what was it? The guy who'd made a speech that was suspiciously sympathetic towards what he called minor attracted persons, pedophiles, right? Who ended up on the board for mermaids. Instantly fucking expelled as soon as that was worked out. So not just among the activist community, but among activist organizations as well. You know, you can argue about whether or not mermaids should have fucking known beforehand that he'd given this speech or what have you. I think they probably should, and I think it was a terrible dereliction of duty. But point being, as soon as they were discovered, expelled. Ask any gender critical person what they think of Germaine Greer nowadays, and they will still say they love her. Even though Germaine Greer wrote a book about how much of a fucking nonce she is and raped her friend John Peel.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Indeed, yes. White men. So 255 asks, white men can't go to rape crisis centres even if one of us gets raped. Generally speaking, no. I don't think.
There are domestic abuse shelters for men.
Yeah.
There are also inclusive domestic abuse shelters that take all genders. But yeah, the services for men who have been domestically abused are sadly lacking in this country.
Massively so, yeah. And this is one of the reasons I despised and always did the men's rights movement, because it was nothing of the sort. And would spend money in a profligate manner on their own weird little side things and never set up a domestic shelter for men, never set up a rape crisis centre for men, never did anything for men. Whereas women's rights campaigners have done a lot to advance women's shit. The men's rights campaigners are just rape apologists and horrific abusers.
And they've tainted it to the point now where, like, if you want to try and campaign for things for men and boys, you have to contend with this legacy of quote unquote men's rights activism being horrifically fucking misogynist, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When there are significant issues that men and boys do need addressed: drug addiction, homelessness, domestic abuse,
absolutely,
blah blah blah.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I despised most about them, because even most sympathetic, decent politicians, civil servants who could actually get some shit done, don't want to touch it with a shitty stick. Not at all. Why would you go anywhere near it? Because as soon as you raise this up, you go, oh, that idea started by Paul Elam, the guy who said that if he was on a rape jury, would always vote not to convict, even in the face of overwhelming evidence.
Yeah.
No one's touching that. What politician's going anywhere near that shit?
Yeah. Fuck that dude.
Yeah.
There's no one at the door saying you can come in, not you. So we've got to have social norms. Which ones do we have? Do we have ones that say if you look like a hulking great bloke, you can go into the ladies? I would say no, because that allows any hulking great bloke to.
Okay, but on that basis, then Buck Angel, a hulking great bloke, is going to have to go into the women's fucking bathroom.
Think you'll find Buck Angel, according to Kathleen Stock, is a hulking great woman. So that solves that problem.
Yeah, but I mean,
Get BTFO'd.
He's got like muscles to die for and a big fucking beard. Like, there's no way, unless you know who Buck Angel is, you're going to think, oh, that's a massive dude just walking into the women's toilet. What the fuck? And Blair White is going to have to go for a piss in the bloke's toilet.
They'll be able to tell straight away.
Well, they can always tell. Always tell.
They can always tell.
Apart from, I've literally seen transvestigators calling Kathleen Stock a bloke today.
Yeah, it does happen quite often.
Yeah, so, you know.
Kathleen Stock is a relatively gender non-conforming woman.
Yep.
Not entirely, because, you know, women with short hair and trousers nowadays is not particularly radical. But yeah, I mean, she's somewhat gender non-conforming. Which means that she is constantly in the line of fire for these accusations of being a trans woman when transphobic people, usually from the US, who haven't heard of her, see a picture of her in an article with like trans in the title and start calling her a man. Endlessly fucking hilarious to me. Not because I enjoy that kind of misogynistic abuse, but because watching the fear and hatred that one person has stoked be turned back against them is amusing in an ironic sort of fashion.
Yeah, it's very much like the Frankenstein situation. They've created a monster they can no longer control, and it may very well end up killing them, either literally or figuratively.
Yeah, it could literally kill them.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been cases of people being attacked and assaulted in bathrooms for being gender non-conforming.
Yeah. Well, there was the story of the woman in Scotland recently, wasn't there? The older woman.
Oh God, the old woman who was like beat up and chucked in a bin.
Yeah, she was literally
horrible,
physically beaten up, thrown into a bin because someone thought they were trans.
Yeah,
they weren't, and it wouldn't matter if they were, because doing that to somebody, regardless of their gender, is ridiculous. But that's the kind of...
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, exactly. No, I realised
they weren't trans.
Yeah, exactly. If they were trans, you know, all fair in love and war. But no, I'm joking. No, it's obviously bad either way. But regardless, this Kathleen Stock or whoever could be clocked by one of these people and have this kind of violence enacted upon them, and it's the violence that they have stoked. Now, it would still be tragic and awful if it happened, but I don't think they could realistically complain. You created this monster.
Mm-hmm. You created it.
Go into the ladies.
You've got this tiny demographic of trans people, including trans women. I don't see how trans women having access to women-only toilets would somehow curtail women's rights as well. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are cis women. They're all trans allies. They all support trans rights. So it's very difficult to talk about women's rights.
Well, the vast majority of women do. We've got the figures on it, we know. And actually it's higher amongst women than it is amongst men. Cal surprise. As if misogyny weren't obvious within the GC movement to begin with. Yeah, the vast majority of women support trans people. And I love the athlete, the cyclist who was beaten by a trans woman. And when asked about that, she went, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, what do I care if they're trans or not?
Yeah, exactly. Like, she was annoyed she lost. She didn't care if she lost too. Like, would it make them feel better if it were a cis woman they lost to? What?
Yeah, it would some people, apparently.
Well, yeah, people who aren't involved in sport. Or the woman who came in 23rd, who they're going to rise up because, you know, she said, oh, fuck the transes. If it weren't for that, I'd have finished 22nd. Yeah, fuck off.
There wasn't the one recently. It was like 6,000 or something, and everybody was losing their shit.
Oh, that was
the London Marathon.
That was the London Marathon. Yeah, she finished.
She gave her thing back.
She did.
She gave her medal back. It's like those medals are just given for participation.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter where you finish. Look, it's not like the elite race where if you finish in the top 3 that matters. No.
But it was just anything to try and stop the harassment and abuse, right? Like she's just like, okay, fine, I'll give my medal back, whatever. Leave me the fuck alone.
She finished 6,000th.
So sad.
What the fuck is what? That's insanity.
6,000 and something, yeah.
Yeah.
But I could have been 6,533rd if it wasn't for her.
Exactly. You'll notice it's always the mediocre ones who couldn't make it anyway that make the point.
God.
Or, I mean, it's so dishonest as well. Because I'm a person who does care about women's sport. Bizarrely, because I would like sport, right? It annoys me.
I don't. I fucking hate sport.
Exactly. That's fine.
I only watch sumo. That's it. And no women are allowed in professional sumo. So
you're a misogynist. Fair enough.
Basically,
understandably. I do care about sport, and so to see these people who obviously couldn't give less of a fuck, like I will literally just ask them. So name your top 5 women athletes. Then they don't know any. They don't know anything about this. And yet they'll opine on this like they give a fuck. No, you just want to beat up on trans people, you fucking bigots. That's it. That's the be-all.
Anybody can name top 5 female athletes, surely. I fucking can't even stand sport, and like top 5 female
Go on
athletes
then.
would be pretty decent.
What's your top 5?
Caster Semenya,
okay.
Paula Radcliffe.
Retired, okay.
Yeah, but she did go to my high school and shit herself at the marathon, and I think that's pretty fucking awesome.
That is pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, like running so hard you shit yourself, that's fucking dedication right there.
True. Although not as good as the marathon in the 1906 Olympics in St. Louis, where 2 of the athletes died. They ran themselves to death.
True.
That is dedication. Gina Carano is not an athlete. I don't know why. Stop it.
So wait. Where do we get to? We've got 2 so far, right?
No, I'm not allowing that. I'm saying current athlete. She is retired.
What? A current athlete?
Otherwise, you could just go back and say, oh, well, my favourite athlete is Muhammad Ali. He's fucking dead.
Okay. Rachel McKinnon, Emily Bridges. Is it transphobic to say Mac Beggs?
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, it is.
He's competing in the women's category. Like,
okay.
He's a woman athlete technically.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's fair. I think we can include Mac Beggs. Yeah. I mean, the transphobes certainly do, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah.
Okay.
And you wouldn't let me have Paula Radcliffe. That's so shitty. I'll take Laura Hubbard.
No. Her knickers are so shitty. Yes.
I'll take Laura Hubbard then.
Because she shat herself.
Because she shat herself at the London.
Okay.
God, that must be so embarrassing for her. But Paula Radcliffe, if you're watching this, I think it's fucking cool. Okay.
Yeah, no, she's a fucking hero.
You shit yourself and you kept fucking running.
Exactly.
You're a fucking legend.
There are some things, where you just go. At this point, I don't want to participate in this anymore. One of them would be shitting myself. I'd give up. I'd be like, fuck that. I'm gonna go have a shower. I think I'm definitely just gonna go change out of these, burn them, and then go for a shower. But no, she went, you know what? No, I'm going to run the next 12 miles on top of the 14 I've just fucking run. As if, who the fuck decided to run?
Did she really have 12 miles left?
I think so. Yeah, that was in Greece, wasn't it? Yeah.
Holy fucking crap.
Yeah. I mean literally. Literally. I think she was able to use gravity to release a lot of it from her clothing. As she was going.
I mean, she was probably only wearing short shorts anyway, right? Runners generally do.
Yeah. No, it wasn't even shorts. It was like they wear like a kind of, essentially a kind of swimsuit, basically. It's aerodynamic and all the rest of it. And because, I mean, they've got to run 26 miles. Who the fuck thought that was a good idea? Mad.
I don't know. You and me are both a little rotund. It would take us a while to get in shape for that kind of run.
It would take me forever because it's never going to happen. Ever. I'm never running. Look, from now until the end of my life, I might not run 26 miles combined. I'm not running anywhere.
Kevin, I believe in you.
No, I'll walk places, but I'm not running anywhere.
I will support you if you.
Well, you might support me, but I don't support me.
The focus on trans women accessing women's spaces has become one of the most
Okay,
contentious
is that the
issues.
first? Is that the first? Wait, is that the first solid sentence in support of trans people we've heard for the entire documentary?
Kind of, I guess. Yeah.
I
suppose.
That person made a solid point at least, right? At least she was just like a lot of women support trans women. The framing of this is wrong. It's not trans women versus women's rights.
Yeah.
I don't see what risk trans women in women's spaces pose to cis women. Those were her points. Like it wasn't like the most robust argument in the history of the world, but I think it was like at least it was probably the first example of a solid pro-trans thing that's been put in here. Yeah. We're about what?
Hello,
a third?
guys. Come on then.
About 40%. Yeah.
About 40%.
It's okay to
Lots of cats.
recognise that
Yes.
you can be perceived.
Yeah,
as
Katie does
this
have a lot
doesn't
of fucking
mean that
cats.
You are. And I remember being in a women's toilet very recently with a female friend, and we'd gone in there. We thought we were the only people in there, so we were chatting between the walls. And while I was doing that, I suddenly realised, you know what? If someone else comes in quietly, or someone else was already in here that we didn't know about, they're going to hear a male voice, and they'll be freaked out of their skin, quite probably. So it made me actually.
What? That's so weird. Firstly, there are women with incredibly deep voices and gravelly voices who can be compared with men. Look, who could conceivably have a quote unquote male voice. And secondly, if you're just in the cubicle having a shit or a piss, whichever, or both, what difference does it make to anyone? They should also just carry on with the piss they were going to have themselves, and then it doesn't matter. Like unisex toilets exist where men and women piss in the same spaces, and everyone's fine, largely speaking. Like, it's not that big a deal. It might be a bit weird at first, but it's not a big deal, actually.
Shut them up.
I was in a pub.
What would be weird, though, is if a trans person said that they were going to dry their hands on their cock, which is a thing that apparently...
That would be really, really weird.
But thankfully that didn't actually happen. The person who said it happened is a liar.
That's very, very true. Yeah.
A couple of weekends ago, and there were no gender-neutral toilets. It was either men's or women's, and the place was heaving. And I had not an anxiety attack exactly, but I was a little bit worried because going into a women-only toilet, would someone confront me or so on? And in the end, I didn't go. I went home. I finished my drink, and I hugged my friend goodbye and said, "I'm going home now." And I went home and I went to the toilet, and then I just stayed in for the rest of the night.
Jesus, that's
This
so
is an
sad.
this is an interesting statistic, actually. Trans people in the UK are much more likely to get urinary infections because we quite often engage in this kind of behaviour.
Is that true? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
we have higher rates of urinary infections.
God damn it.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is disgusting. Yeah.
We're actually trans people in the UK are so the idea that we're chomping at the bit to get into women's toilets when actually we can legally use women's toilets, but we're so fucking afraid of using either bathroom that we actually have a statistically significantly higher chance of having a urinary tract infection because so many of us engage in the behavior of just holding it rather than going for a piss while we're out.
Have you considered stopping being eccentric?
I hate you.
I hate me too.
Self-hate sometimes and thinking, do I have the right? Do I belong? How trans am I? How woman am I? I'm not woman enough. I should just go home. I understand the anger and even the sense of paranoia about women-only spaces, who gets to come in, for example. But the way that it's got out of control, as I see it, in terms of the level of almost this blanket ban now, no trans women in our spaces.
Why is it that trans women can't see that it's about keeping men out of our spaces? And unfortunately...
Well, that doesn't...
Julie Bindle... Okay, the very start of this, right? She said, you cannot have that word. Trans women cannot have that word. She's being so fucking disingenuous right now by saying, oh, it's not about trans women, it's about keeping men out. She she stated even earlier in this documentary, it's not like she stated it outside of the document. She stated it in this fucking documentary that trans women are men. So it refers to them.
Yeah.
She's talking about trans women right now when she says, keep men out of our spaces. Like, what a disingenuous fucking weaselly little lying bitch.
True.
Sorry, bitch is a bit of a misogynistic term, isn't it? I'll probably get absolutely crucified for that rather than anybody. That annoys me.
No, that's fine.
If that got out to the TERFs, the first thing they would do is go, "Oh, bitch, what a misogynistic slur," and wouldn't engage substantially with my point. So I will rephrase that and apologise for using a misogynistic slur towards Julie Bindel. And I will say, what a lying, weaselly, fucking piece of shit, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, she's lying, man. She's fucking lying.
True. Also, I was just going to make the point that banning trans people, regardless of the gender, doesn't stop men from going into women's toilets. Like, if a man is intent on something nefarious, a ban on trans people doesn't stop him. Because there's no one outside public toilets stopping people going in. We don't have a dick inspector. So, actually, you're just stopping trans people existing. You're just making them piss in the wrong toilet, which is weird and gross. Don't do that.
Much as trans women may well want to rely on the fiction, they are not women. They are trans women.
Yeah, but they still need to piss. Like, I don't care if you want to... Like, okay, what about tall women or something? What's the qualifier got to do with anything? If they're a woman, they can go in the women's toilet and have a shit.
Yeah.
Not that complicated, actually.
The possibility that men could abuse a system of self-identification
she likes books
has
as
become
well.
highly controversial.
Yeah.
Today, with so many men being opportunistic sex offenders against women and girls, being able to...
Why is that a today problem? What do you mean today with that? That's always been a problem. That's never not been a problem. You know Jack the Ripper was a thing, right?
He was...
That happened that happened like 150 years ago.
Well, in all fairness, we don't actually know if Jack the Ripper was a man. Jack the Ripper could have been a woman.
I don't think so.
Wait, didn't they find semen at some of the crime scenes?
Although to be fair, being that they're prostitutes, the idea of there being semen around is not entirely... That wouldn't be incongruent with it still being a woman.
I think fresh semen from the person they were meeting, rather than just like there was dried semen on her skirt or whatever.
Yeah. Either way, almost certainly a medical doctor, given the dissection that happened on Emily what's-her-face.
Yeah.
Which means it's almost certainly the Canadian bloke who escaped. Especially because when he left, it stopped happening.
You're really wedded to this, aren't you?
It's a fascinating story. I don't know how this became a thing. And also, it's another example of the Met Police being shit, but from a long time ago. Because they did not give a fuck. They honestly couldn't have given less of a shit. Yeah.
Well, it was prostitutes, wasn't it?
It's prostitutes and
women of
and it was
dubious repute
in a poor area. So who gives a fuck? Even the women even the good women in that area are poor. So do they really count? No, is the point. They didn't.
Wait, are you saying that the prostitutes were like bad women?
Well, according to the police, I was basically enacting the police's thought process there. Yeah,
I see.
They were saying so. Even the women who were quote unquote good women, although of course all women are evil because of Eve. We know that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, but even the supposedly good women were poor. So what's the point of protecting them?
Very true. Very true.
Wander very casually into this identity of woman. It's a danger. We have to be alert to it.
Tensions have become heightened on both sides by cases that make the headlines, like the recent situation in Scotland, where a double rapist who transitioned from male to female was briefly housed in a woman's prison before being
briefly housed, entirely segregated from the general population, as they should be, as anybody should be who is likely to be a threat to others around them. Like any cis woman who has committed a sexual offense against another woman should be segregated from the general population.
Yep.
Yeah.
But don't mention that bit, because that might fuck up your narrative, you know? Kathleen.
There are predatory males in society, and a minority of them may also cross-dress. A minority of them may also transition, and a minority of them may also fraudulently use gender self-ID or whatever it might be.
So
the issue
what you're
is,
saying is, of the 0.5% of trans people who are in the United Kingdom, 0.1 or 0.2% of which are trans women, a minority of those who transition may have transitioned fraudulently in order to commit sex crimes. So what you're saying is like 0.01% of the population or some shit might engage in this kind of behavior.
We need
like 3 people.
We need to deny the rights of hundreds of thousands of people on the basis of 3 people.
3 hypothetical people.
3 hypothetical people. Also,
I don't know how you determine whether somebody's transitioned fraudulently or not, in all honesty.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But what I will point out, I think, is that, again, as with the sports thing, they don't care about sports. It's a way of tackling trans people. I don't hear these people going about more broad prison reform to make prisons safer. They couldn't give a fuck. They never mention any other thing. They never mention
one of the interesting things about
the cis women that get raped and beaten up and murdered in prisons by other cis women. That never gets mentioned because, again, they don't give a fuck about the safety of people in prison. They just want to beat up on trans people.
Of those gender critical people who are actually from a feminist background or a feminist tradition, I think it's very, very interesting to see the divide in that the vast majority of those are of the carceral feminist tradition. Like they're pretty much all about, we need to impose much harsher penalties on rape and sexual violence and so on. And incarceration is in fact the answer. It's not. It's very dumb. But that puts them at odds with the vast majority of like feminists in general. Yeah, they are themselves a minority within a minority.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see the positions they take on things other than trans people as well. Julie Bindel, very much against sex workers, very much against, very much a carceral feminist. Yeah, well, if you can call her a feminist at all.
I really don't think you can. No.
But at least from the carceral feminist tradition.
Yeah.
Male perversion, male threat, male violence, and I'm totally anti that at every single step of the way. And if some of that is the bad apples in the trans camp, then I think we should own our bad apples, but also recognise that the majority just want to get on with life.
Yeah, that's weird.
The sad fact is,
they're not mine. They're just people who happen to be trans.
Yeah,
like
that's
I don't know why.
This is some weird pick me shit, man. I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't fucking like it at all either. Katie, you're making me fucking sad. Okay, why are you making me sad?
Yeah. Is Mixed Vivian a prison abolitionist?
Oh, jeez.
You don't have to answer.
I'm gonna say yes, but I don't have time to explain the position. And because it is complicated. And I'll just say that, like, obviously there are some people who need to be segregated from the general population in order for other people to be safe. You know, people who are like just want to go out and fucking murder people randomly and aren't likely to stop wanting that. You're gonna have to separate them somehow, obviously. I'm not just for like chaos in the fucking streets or whatever people are going to accuse me of. But yes, I am, much like Mariam Kaba or Angela Davis or any number of feminists and anarchists out there. I am a prison abolitionist. Yes.
Except for white people, right?
Sorry?
Except for white people.
What do you mean?
Well, white people should be in jail.
Not my position, no.
She's pro white, everyone. Attack.
Abusive men are in people's homes, are people they know, are people they work with, or are in institutions alongside. abusive, sexually violent men do not need to transition to live as trans women in order to be sexually violent to women.
No, they need to join the Met Police.
Ow!
That's all they got to do. Get yourself a badge and a baton, and you.
But
are...
more police and more police powers is the answer to violence against women.
Clearly.
And children. Sadly, that is a daily occurrence.
In England and Wales, nearly 1 in 4 women has reported being a victim of rape or sexual assault, and a woman is killed every 3 days by a man. But reliable figures indicating how many or how few attacks involve people identifying as trans are not available.
Okay, so go after cis dudes then, because we know the majority are cis dudes.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you want to protect yourself from cis dudes, I don't think anyone would disagree.
Cis dudes are kind of garbage.
Fact. Trust me. As one of them, I know.
A lot of them are terrible.
Yeah.
Cis people in general are pretty fucking garbage.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I eventually rise to power, they will be put in camps. So.
I wouldn't go that far.
But you're thinking just sterilising, yeah?
I think I wouldn't agree with that position either. Enacting any kind of genocide, probably not on the cards.
You're not playing along with my jokes tonight. I get the feeling you think that TERFs might watch this.
I mean, I think you'll find usually I don't typically play along with them an awful lot. Because I'm so used to people misrepresenting me and saying I believe things that I don't, that I don't want to even ingest state that I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But when people say, why are you assuming that every trans woman, every trans-identified male is a sexual predator? Of course we're not. We never assumed that actual men were all sexual predators. We knew enough of them.
You just wanted to put them all in
order
camps.
to need women-only facilities. And that's why there's a danger. Because, of course, it's far more normalised now for men to be able to just identify themselves into the category of woman and to have some legal...
Right, but who's doing this? Who's going through fucking hormones and fucking surgery and shit?
So you don't have to. That's our point, right? Like,
well, I know you don't have to, but
self-identify into that category.
Okay, well, who's just identifying to go into a women's space? Who's doing that?
Nobody, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, exactly. And it wouldn't stop it anyway, because again, there isn't a cock fucking inspector at the toilet. So
there's not?
A fucking cis dude who wants to do something evil doesn't need to self-identify as anything.
Yeah, you don't need a GRC to get into women's toilets.
Exactly, yeah. You can just go into the fucking toilet. There isn't like some sort of gender pass that's necessary.
Yeah. I do worry about all this talk because we're like in a way, it's kind of a fucked up own goal for the gender criticals to be doing this, because essentially what they're doing is just encouraging a whole bunch of people to say, well, if you want to sexually assault women, you can just walk into the women's toilets and do it. You don't need a GRC. It's almost like giving these fucks ideas.
It's free advertisement.
It's just free. It's just like
it's free advertisement for the ease with which one can do evil shit. Yeah, I mean, I presume if you're an evil cunt who wants to do something like that, you've probably already thought like, oh, there's no police at the toilet. Like, you can just do it. Stopping trans people won't stop any of that from taking place. No one, like, if you wanted to do that, you wouldn't even need to put on a dress and pretend. You could just walk in there as a cis dude.
Buy yourself a mop and bucket, or a fucking security guard's uniform, or
police. Yeah. With the police, you don't need. With the police, you can just say it's a strip search. You can get away with it. It's fine, no problems.
Yeah.
Rights to do so.
Women won't wished means women won't be silenced, and several hundred were outside the Scottish Parliament demanding to be heard.
The legal right right to self-ID has been introduced in several countries.
And we
It has
do have some
divided the
good
UK.
traditional songs.
In Scotland,
The national anthem sucks balls, but Auld Lang Syne's pretty great.
Well,
Probably because it's Scottish.
Well, not just it's Scottish, but Robbie Burns, fucking legend.
Rabbi fucking Burns.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Anyway, yeah. So, but also there's
My offensively bad Scottish accent.
I was just going to skirt past that horrific xenophobia there, to anti-Scottish hatred. What I do hate is that they've taken on the suffragette colour scheme for their own, when actually they ally themselves with people who literally want to take away women's right to vote.
I just want to say I love the Scottish people. The Scots love me. They many of my best friends are Scots.
Too late.
Scotch, is that the right word? Scotch.
It's definitely not.
Many of my best friends are Scotch.
Definitely not the right word. No, they are not. In fact, a highly alcoholic.
I play hopscotch. I eat hot scotch, but no, that's hot cross buns.
All right.
I love a Scotch egg.
Who doesn't? Vegetarians, I guess.
Controversial gender reform bill has recently been
I can
blocked
play
by
along
the
with
UK
the idea that I
government.
might be
anti-Scottish.
Men wake up in the morning and say, suddenly I'm a woman. That isn't what the Gender Recognition Act is. You still need to make a legal declaration. It's just a much less cumbersome process than it was previously. I do have friends who are trans people, and we all share one thing in common, which is a sense of distress at how this niche piece of policy making turned into this existential questioning of trans people's identities.
Also,
and this person's making some sense, you know?
Yeah, this person's the only one so far, right? Well, actually, no, there have been a couple, but the only one that's been given significant airtime.
The only one that's been given any time that makes sense, yeah. Like, the other ones might make sense, but... Like,
yeah, but what I found really frustrating was the timing of Nicola Sturgeon resigning as First Minister, because all the TERFs were like, I see, the GRA brought her down, rah! And then 48 hours later, oh no, it turns out her old man was nicking money from the party. And this was about to blow up in the media. So she stepped down to avoid any of that. Yeah. Like, come on. They're shameless, these people. They'll still say it. You still see them, like, it brought down Sturgeon, it brought down this, it brought down that. No, it didn't.
Yeah, but they're not interested in the fucking truth. That's it. I mean, you know, shown that with Julie Bindel earlier. We will show that with Stock eventually. You have my word. All right, I will get to it.
There is definitely a cultural shift going on in terms of how gender is understood. Younger adults are much more likely to support self-identification.
Yep.
Oh no, horror.
Most young people will know people that don't use designated sex pronouns. They'll use words like Z, or they'll say they, them. They're familiar with people identifying as just not straight or non-binary. They don't want to be defined. These categories that were
Imagine being straight. It's disgusting.
Imagine.
Gross.
previously seen as fairly fixed, by younger adults increasingly are seen as much more fluid.
Cass, Lily and William are second-year students at Cambridge University.
Many people go through life without thinking about gender at all. I know that I did not consider...
Oh, well, someone in chat brings up a pertinent point, or a pertinent question, I guess. I still don't know what MX means.
Oh, it's mix, and it is a title like Mr. or Mrs. that was brought up in the 70s for people who don't want to identify what gender they are through their title. Yeah.
And you actually you do use MX or mix as a thing, yeah?
I use mix as a title. It's on my bank card. It's on my
It's not just like an internet thing.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, it's on my bank card.
Yeah, fair enough.
My gender at all until I...
Oh, fuck, I keep pressing on that fucking thing. God damn it. It's alright.
Consider my gender at all until I was meeting people who had those thought processes already.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're right. I think something about what actually is masculinity to me.
In something that ends up being, for better or worse, quite important in day-to-day life,
it's just almost, I feel, nice to know that you've actively claimed your gender and that you recognise who you are more fully, in the same way that you'd want to know more about yourself in any other way.
I think new generations don't want to be boxed in to pre-existing categories. They want to define their own categories. None of us are just one thing. That's been realised for a long time. But now, newer generations are calling for that to be formally recognised, and that does seem to be happening.
I just think for something so complicated, to then base it in someone's genitals and biological sex is just not accurate, and I think really stamps on just people that feel a completely wide range of things, and especially when there have been documents all throughout history of people that feel that there's not just men and women, there's not just this and that.
This an almost good documentary has broken out in the middle of this puff piece.
Crazy, yeah. No, like these bits are.
It's a bit
better.
It's pretty simplistic. It's pretty surface level, but it's this is fine. Yeah.
It's certainly not getting enough time, and like the arguments aren't like as strong and fleshed out as they could be.
I am Jones.
But then neither are Kathleen Stock's arguments particularly well fleshed out. So
I was about to say I am jonesing to see Kathleen Stock looking sad in another location. That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened for several minutes, and I am itching. I'll be honest.
And it's just, I think it just is something that is infinitely more complex.
It's something that you can discover about yourself. You don't have to associate it with it particularly. You don't have to feel that you need to act on it, but you also can if you need to.
It can really be quite difficult to live in a world that not only doesn't understand you, but is specifically being hampered from understanding you, I guess is the way to put it. In saying, oh, there are only two genders, we want a debate about gender and sex, can be damaging. And then especially some of the more extreme comments that are just downright offensive completely in themselves can cause worse things than that.
I feel like I've put a lot of effort in my life into being able to just kind of slip under the radar and not be particularly noticeable or objectionable. But I feel so threatened by the way the public sphere treats these issues at the moment that I don't feel like I have an option but to start to be vocal. And I find that concerning and personally quite upsetting.
It's fair enough.
Tonight, around 400 people will be attending a debate at the Cambridge Union, where Kathleen has been asked to speak. It has attracted a considerable amount of attention.
I love they keep calling it a debate. It really wasn't. It was a fucking interview.
Hostility, or I suspect there will be.
It was an AMA
It's
at best.
incredibly nerve-wracking. I have to really steel myself to walk in there.
Kathleen has been invited to support the proposition that there should be a right to offend.
Oh, this is the other one, not the one that she just did. This is the actual debate at Cambridge. Again, if you can call it a debate, it is a Cambridge fucking... But it was actually a debate, you know? As opposed to the one that's recently being advertised. Which was not a debate.
Alongside her, second-year law student Cass is arguing in support of the same motion.
This is a British parliamentary debate. We've got 3 paper speakers on each side, so please do get involved. Debates like this are valuable when they're interactive. That's really important.
I've got honey roast cashews.
This debate isn't a debate about trans rights or
I've got honey on them.
views or anything that Kathleen Stock's done. It's a debate about the right to hold
Never
a
had
view which
these
is perceived
before.
as
They're quite
offensive.
nice.
Without further ado, let's move to the first proposition speaker, Cass.
The first thing it's vital for me to do is to clarify my exact stance on this debate. The environment for trans people, in particular in the UK at present, is abhorrent, and the hatred perpetuated by certain people in this room should be a damning indictment on them. And now, it's obvious from the lineup of this debate that this discussion is unavoidable. And, I suppose, better to head it off at the pass. I do not believe trans rights are up for debate. And I believe the union was wrong to invite Dr. Stock and risk shifting.
It soon becomes clear
Nice.
that Cass is using the platform to speak out against Kathleen.
As a proud non-binary person, it is impossible to look.
Oh yeah, it's a fucking debate.
Yeah, sorry, just calling the base department. Hello? You seem to have lost one of your members. Click. Boom.
How dare you debate against the person at the debate?
Yeah, amazing.
It's terrible.
Yeah, why is this person
Dreadful.
using their free speech in ways we don't like? Ah!
It soon became clear that at this debate, a young man was debating.
Well, look, it'll be cats fucking dogs. It'll be nightmare.
Trans rights remain not up for debate. Dr. Stock, those she enables, and those who enable her disgust me, and they should disgust this house.
Yeah.
I could never have predicted that
That's how
that
they
was
do
going
it
to
in
happen.
Parliament, right?
I mean, that was a surprise to me. Maybe I feel I should have been able to see it coming, actually, but I didn't.
I think it was difficult to stand up and sort of, as some people have put it, ambush in this in protest effectively. But I just think it's a matter where what is being said so needs to be challenged, and the
Looks like a
narrative
young
so
Kaylin
needs to be
Conrad.
shifted to one that is more.
Are you saying Kaylin Conrad's old?
Older than this chap.
You are outrageous tonight, honestly. But yes.
Older than this chap. Kaylin Conrad is not old, because if Kaylin's old, I'm fucking old.
We're all old inside, Chris. Not Christy.
Mm.
Fuck's sake.
Sure.
Viv. I can't
No,
tell.
it's
I
fine.
can't tell you women apart. You're all the fucking same. Quote me out of context, dickheads.
More representative
She's
of
the
real
lip
story
shit.
for trans people.
Oh,
that
fight.
I think doing what I did was right, and that in a space that encourages free speech and is going to invite a speaker like that, I think that the exact rule.
Oh right. Oh okay. So he was supposedly on her side in the debate, but then just got up and said she's a piece of shit. Okay, cool. Also, I mean, surely the best argument for the right to offend is to offend, right?
Mm.
And so if she's offended by that, surely she should be okay with that because she's for the right to offend.
Yeah, you should think so.
She wouldn't be a hypocrite about that, would she? That'd be crazy.
They do typically
of the
tend
debate
to be hypocrites.
need to come secondary to what
True,
is a
true.
social cause that
Do
needs
you not like
attention
being offended?
and
I don't think anyone likes being offended. To be honest.
Well, they well, we spoke about it earlier. They do sure like to sue anybody who disagrees with them. So,
Yeah.
you know, so much for the fucking free speech. As soon as you can pay a lawyer to get rid of it.
Yeah. Or just file a slap suit on someone to get them to shut up.
Yeah, kind of like
needs
that.
radical change from how it's currently portrayed.
Kathleen Stock is a philosopher and writer. She was formerly a professor of philosophy at the University of Sussex, and she resigned in October 2021 following attacks on her by colleagues as well as a student campaign. Kathleen, you have the ears of the House.
Okay, well, thank you, Madam President, for inviting me. I'm not going to address anything that's been said about me, even though I obviously disagree with it. It's within every speaker's right to say what they like, and that's fine by me. I'm going to actually address the question.
I mean, it wasn't fine by you. Clearly, like you were whinging about it 5 seconds ago.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say-
To be fair, this is after the fact that she's
I
doing
can
the
I can
meeting.
see you turning into a corn cob live on stage. What are you talking about? I'm not even owned. No.
I believe you have the right to offend, except when it's offending me.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Do we know what Cass's pronouns are? There was they, them, I think, when they came up on screen. Does it matter?
Who? Cass?
Cass, the young Kaylin Conrad.
All right.
Question, which is there a right to offend? I was looking
I
around
think
at
Helen
all
Conrad's
these other
pretty
hostile
cute. I think
faces.
Helen Conrad's pretty cute.
You reckon you're barking up the wrong tree?
I do not reckon I'm barking up the wrong tree. Actually, I think Helen's super hot.
No, I meant, do you think it would be possibly reciprocated?
I have absolutely no idea. Would be nice if it was, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm just saying they're pretty hot.
Viv and Kaylin sitting in a tree. Fucking.
Okay.
and people wearing badges, you know, and like clearly since indicating to me, although we weren't talking about trans issues at all, that that's why they were there, and you could hear the drumming in the background. So it was.
You could hear the fucking cheering from all the people in the room too.
Yeah, exactly, Alethea. No, my understanding was that they're very gay. Yes, but I don't know. Maybe they're bi.
Well, they are non-binary, so I don't even know what gay means in that context.
Loves cock. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they do love cock, just cock.
Wow.
I have no idea what Kaylin Conrad's sexuality is.
Okay.
And I don't really care. I was just saying they're hot.
You've clearly thought about it though.
No,
I'm
just saying they're hot.
You've gone a little bit girly, a little goo-goo here. What's this about? What's this? Oh, you starting to blush.
I was just trying to pay somebody a compliment.
That's what it felt like.
Okay, I'm just saying you're going to horny jail. That's all.
I'm not. There's
Your
no
generation,
war.
if most of you
Can I
are
not compliment
undergraduates
someone's
here,
lips without it being
standing here with
horny?
I mean, you can, but you didn't. So, I mean,
they're just cute. Shut up. Fuck you.
Is terrified of causing offence. You may not admit this. It's sort of even a taboo to admit that you're terrified of causing offence, because of course you're not. You're very moral people and you'd say what you think. But I don't think that's true. I think social media has made everybody very frightened of causing offence, of saying the right thing or the wrong thing, and that.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're looking at the same social media I am? Because it seems to have opened up people very, very, let's say liberally, to using some of the most horrific slurs and offensive shit imaginable. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, you can't go through Twitter without seeing the most egregiously offensive shit all the time. What social media is she watching or seeing that's led her to this erroneous conclusion?
I don't know, the tiny bubble of Times columnists that she fucking follows. I don't fucking know.
Probably.
But I mean, they like Times journalists and gender critical people say some incredibly offensive shit constantly. So I don't know who the fuck she's talking. I suppose because she agrees with those things, that means that they're not like horribly offensive or whatever.
Yeah. True, exactly. The horrendously offensive stuff, and that's just Kev's Twitter page. True. Fact.
You know,
poor Vivian.
And I'm
fuck
sure
you.
you know that, because I'm sure you sometimes have rebellious thoughts that you think
non-binary people are not
and
the
I
most
think
gay.
heretical thoughts need to be discussed.
Being gay is
That why I commend the
I've seen
motion
people
to
of the
you.
same gender as you. Non-binary people are actually the most straight, because it's literally impossible for them to find anybody with the same gender as them attractive, because there is nobody with the same gender as them.
Okay, but you made look. It was cool when you say it's gay, but now you've said they're straight. Like, I'm not sure I like non-binary people anymore.
They're super straight.
No, definitely not. You made it even less cool. Anyway,
we are the straightest people on the planet.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm just saying you got giggly over Kaylin. That's all that happened. I've never seen you get like that before. Is it love? Is that what I'm sensing here?
No! I just said that. Fuck you.
After leaving the chamber, Kathleen and Cass avoided each other and have not spoken since.
Oh no!
I was an academic.
What about the open dialogue and the free marketplace of ideas?
Kathleen Stock keeps refusing to debate me. I don't know why.
Probably because you're gay. She's probably very homophobic.
Well, she is, but I don't think that's the reason.
Yeah.
I think she's
The whole
scared.
point of
Oh,
academics
yeah,
was
absolutely,
supposed to be, for a start, to say what you think, having reflected. So I already had responsibilities as an academic, but now I've got even more of a responsibility. I am already thought of as transphobic, you know.
Just
There's
because
nothing
you
I could
are.
do for these people to repair that now. There's nothing I could say that would change it.
Not
so
true.
I might as well just keep going, doing what I'm doing, which as far as I'm concerned is not transphobic.
You could say, I apologise for all the transphobic things I said, and I regret them.
Yeah.
I no longer believe them.
These people already think I'm transphobic, so if I just carry on being transphobic, they'll be fine or something. Brilliant. Thank you, Katie Cat 1993 with 69 bitties. Nice. Oh, fucking ad breaks. God damn it. Just like on the TV. Hang on,
I see pay for watching it on all four. You are allowed to watch it on all four, right?
Possibly, I don't know. They didn't even do an advert at that time. Okay.
When I came out, I found such power. Everything about me changed. Physically, emotionally. I felt so much more comfortable with myself. The way
imagine
I
what
walked
that's like
changed.
for
My clothes
trans
changed.
people.
Yeah.
I stopped wearing makeup overnight. I don't wear makeup at all. I felt like I was a different person.
Oh, that's the stuff. That's her looking sad on a train. That's what I needed. Oof.
Oh.
The release. Like when I came out as needing to see her looking sad in places, it changed my life. Everything about me changed. So what I'm doing, I'm aping her language. To mock her, because she's an idiot.
I mean, it explains why it's so personal to me. It really does explain why it's so personal. When I said it was a vocation, it didn't call me out of nowhere. It called me out of a lifelong unease I have had with womanhood, girlhood and womanhood.
Whether you buck the trend as a tomboy woman or as a lesbian butch or myself as a trans person who doesn't do makeup, doesn't do skirts and the rest of it, but feels free to be myself. We still judge on appearance, whether it's a trans woman appearance or a cisgender woman's
I wonder if they're going to be
appearance.
able to use the argument that they often use, which is that like transgender ideology is sexism, because it says you have to adhere to stereotypes. Like, I wonder if they're going to be able to do that with Katie in the documentary. That's my question.
That will be
because like if Katie can have any positive impact at all, her mere presence basically fucking like counteracts that narrative, right? Like,
yeah. Well, that's the whole point. Is that people are free to be what they want, and that's fine. That's actually a good thing. Like, it's only the GCs that are insistent that everyone has to conform in some way. Otherwise, they're not right and they don't belong in your space. No, fuck you. It's not your space. It's women's space. There are women of 1,000,001 different shapes, sizes, types. It's not your space. It's their space. And fuck you for trying to deny it to people.
I dress like a man, I get a haircut like a man, and sometimes people think briefly that I am a man.
Yeah, you'll definitely get clocked.
sometimes people think you're a man.
And physically assaulted when you go into a women's toilet under the regime that you specifically require, and you'll be kicked out and not be able to take a piss because someone will see you as a man. That will happen, I guarantee it. If she gets her way, that will happen. And that would be a fucking disgrace. But again, hoist by your own petard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind that. I know I'm a woman, and I don't think I'm a man. In a different version of me, transplanted into the future, if I'd been...
Okay, but okay. You know within inside yourself you're a man, and that's not affected by the fact that other people might not see you that way. You're literally describing the experience of being trans, aren't you? There? Like, trans people know within inside themselves that they're a woman, or if they are a woman, whatever, they know what they are, and the rest of the world calling them something else doesn't change that. And our rights shouldn't be based on the idea that some people are a little uncomfortable. So again, I don't know how you can't feel empathy with the trans people that you're attacking when you know a kind of ersatz version of the pain they feel at the rest of society treating them as if they're something different. Do you not have any empathy within your fucking soul, Stock? No? Okay.
A teenager, I do think that this whole non-binary stuff, or you can change your sex, you can basically become less feminine and it's cool surgically, would have appealed to me. My concern
this is the old,
become
if this trans thing was around when I was a kid, I would have been trans too. Bitch, it was around when you were a kid.
Yep.
It fucking was around when you were a kid, and you didn't get quote unquote trans. Now, it wasn't as acceptable when you were a kid. I'll give you that. We are slowly winning. We are slowly kicking your fucking backwards asses.
Yeah.
But
it's the left-handedness graph thing again. It's once things become more acceptable, the number of people who are happy to live in that way openly increases. Doesn't mean the number of people that existed increases. It just means those you're aware of increases. Because in the past they were in the closet. They had to be for legal and professional and familial reasons. Whereas now they can be open about that. And that's a good thing. Trans people did exist when you were a kid. They existed when your parents were a kid and your fucking grandparents were a kid. What are you talking about if trans people had existed when I was a kid? You're a fucking idiot.
Did she actually say those words, if trans people had existed? I don't think she did.
No, not those exact words, but, you know, that's the core of the argument she's making, right? That's the basic argument, albeit worded slightly differently. Yeah.
Such a popular narrative in the last 10 years in the culture that there are people transitioning where this is not the right story for them, and it won't ultimately be the right story for them, and then there will be irrevocable harms.
Again, a tiny, tiny number of detransitioners who are as valid as anybody else. I'm not going to deny their truth, but they're
and indeed members of the trans community, even so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they've been on that fucking journey. They are my brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Firstly, most detransitioners do so either for financial reasons because they can't afford to, or because life has become so difficult with them being open about their transness that they just essentially have to go back into the closet. But even for those where it is a genuine problem, it's not the right medical path for them. That is A, such an infinitesimally small number, and B, is ridiculously lower than the regret rate for virtually every other surgery that's imaginable.
Yep.
I mean, literally anything. Any surgery you can possibly imagine. And of course, other surgeries have even worse consequences, potentially physically. Radiotherapy and chemotherapy are enormously destructive. But no one would say, oh, you're going to do lots of damage to you. No, you've got cancer. It needs to be killed. That's the thing. And we know that untreated dysphoria and transness, whatever that is,
untreated
transness is transgenderoidism is a deadly thing. We know that
transgenderoidism is a deadly thing.
It is a deadly thing.
I feel like I'm talking to Michael Knowles now.
Excuse me, I don't hang around with pedophiles, so I'm nothing like him. Anyway, boom. Untreated dysphoria is an enormously deadly thing, and so any potentially dangerous or destructive element of medicine is justified on that basis. Absolutely, 100%.
Well, yeah, you weigh the pros and cons, right? And
yep,
people should enter into it in an informed manner as much as they can, and you can make that decision for yourself with your doctor. But broadly, that's how all fucking medication works.
Yes.
All medication has potential side effects and things that can go wrong, and and broadly we use those because the chances of you having a better life after the medication are better than the chances of you having a worse life after the medication. It's what we call long-term well-being, right?
Yep.
It's like that's what we base our medical decisions on long-term well-being, and study after study after study after study shows that, like, overwhelmingly, treatment for trans people, transition-related treatment, when entered into voluntarily, is something that increases long-term well-being.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we just keep fucking doing it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's tearing down the fabric of society. It's destroying the West.
That's another added benefit. What are you talking about?
That's true. I love that shit. Love that shit. It's also destroying the East.
Good.
And probably the North and South.
It honestly, the entire compass is getting fucked by the transes. let's go.
We are omnidirectional.
Big worry.
True.
Approximately 0.5% of the UK do identify as a gender different than their birth sex. And for them...
A gender different from their birth sex. Do you want to be any more weird and complicated about this?
That was the exact wording of the question asked on the 2021 census.
Oh, it's so silly.
Yeah. That's why she used it, because she was using the figure from the census in the question from the census.
No, well, okay, that's fair enough. Okay, well, I'll just regress the question back to those who worded it in the census. Do you want to be any more weird and complicated about it? That's a very stupid question when you fundamentally.
Yeah, a lot of gender criticals would believe you. Would agree with you.
Okay, I changed my mind.
They say we're overrepresented in the statistics because people who spoke English as a second language or whatever didn't understand the question and answered yes unknowingly.
Okay, well, on that basis, trans people are even less of an issue then, aren't they? Why are you getting bent out of shape about a tiny number of people? What?
That's the thing. It's very weird. It's the whole enemy is both weak and strong thing, right? They can't decide whether there's a trans lurking around every corner trying to sneak into your toilet and rape you, or we're such a tiny fucking minority that nobody should care about us at all.
Yeah.
It's like we're at once the greatest problem in the world and a tiny minority.
Are you unironically echo posting right now?
I am unironically echo posting. I don't hate Umberto Eco. I just hate how his fucking essay is used.
Fair enough.
Hurdles to be able to live in their chosen gender can be significant.
As we explore the question, we realise the limitations of the
surgery Alan Bennett's back.
And we realise we are going to have restrictions. You know, just as a 19-year-old, having to decide whether I was going to give up my fertility, potentially never have children or a family.
I love this dude's voice.
It's a really difficult decision.
Seriously, you need to look up Alan Bennett when we're done. Because he sounds like Alan Bennett. It's amazing. Is this on the BBC website? No, this is on Channel 4. Can't find.
At that point, but I felt I couldn't live. I couldn't carry on living. So what use was a potential parent who was going to kill themselves? You know, that was it.
I think some people think that you decide that you're trans, you go to your doctor, you tell them that, they give you hormones, and there you are, transitioned, surgery next week. It doesn't work like that. There's actually a lot of inner turmoil and thought, you know, when you are trying to come to that realisation of the person you are. And it's only after you've made that realisation that you then start on possibly a medical transition journey, which will take years and years. You know, this isn't a thought on a whim for anyone. It's something that takes a lot of soul searching.
Decades.
Yeah.
Well, was it, how many letters did Philosophy Tube had to write to their doctor?
A lot.
Yeah, millions. Fucking squillions. Yeah, ridiculous.
It's only because they have so much money and the connections that they do have that they managed to get treated as quickly as they did. Most trans people without that level of privilege are fundamentally denied any kind of healthcare in the UK right now.
Yeah,
it's fucked.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fucked. That's not to shit on philosophy. Way it's like, if you can get it, get it.
I think they actually in that video they accepted that, you know, because they have a bit more money than your average person, that they were able to get care. Like, I think they accepted their privilege in that video. So no shitting happened there. There was no
shitting. There was no shitting.
There was no,
I did not shit.
You did not Radcliffe anything.
That bit.
The recent debates around gender have left many trans people feeling overwhelmed by what they experience as prejudice. In response, some councils have declared themselves trans-inclusive.
I proposed a motion that states loudly and clearly that Norwich City Council is in support of the trans and non-binary community.
Green Party, I see. I wonder why I'm voting for them at the next election.
Is it because the Scottish Green Party split with the Green Party of England and Wales because the Green Party of England and Wales were too transphobic? Is that why you're voting for them in the next election?
What do you mean they were too transphobic? What?
They literally split with the Scottish Greens. Literally split with the Green Party of England and Wales over the issue of transphobia.
Okay, so the English ones were more transphobic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Well, their official position is very trans-inclusive. It's like the only party which has that.
It is. It is now. Yeah, they're trying, but they still haven't got rid of a lot of the fucking transphobes in their ranks.
Oh, for fuck's sake! So there's no one I can vote for then.
I mean, you can vote Green if you want to. A lot of people are encouraging people to vote Green because of, like you said, like their official stance and stuff. But they are far from ideal on trans issues, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the guy that was running for the lead of the Greens is a huge transphobe. Oh, for fuck's sake! So
I think we do need to recognise that trans people and their allies are fundamentally disenfranchised in this country, and that democracy, even though it is a fucking gasping corpse at this point, in this nation for everybody, is wholly, fully dead and turned to dust. When it comes to trans people, we do not have a major party that represents our interests in anything like an adequate manner.
Yeah. So I mean,
the Greens might be the best of the bunch, and as you can tell, still lots of issues.
Are you not? Are you planning to just not vote then, or spoil your ballot, or what?
I really don't know. Spoil my ballot, possibly. Run as an independent MP.
Oh, that'd be dope.
No, it wouldn't.
Well,
hours and hours and hours of footage of stuff on the internet that people would comb through and clip and be like,
yeah, well,
radical communist terrorist, trans terrorist.
Well, but that's true. That's just what you are.
No, that's not true.
No,
but that is how I'd be portrayed, and I don't think it would do us any good.
Yeah. No Justice Love. Yeah, well, I asked No Justice on this stream as well, and they said they don't really do like the TERF stuff on their stream, which is
the difference. This is the difference between me and Destiny and Vosh and people. Is I know when to keep my fucking head down and not try and get involved in a political movement. Because some of the dumb fuck shit you say online is always going to turn around and bite you when you've got thousands of hours of video of you.
Well, I've said this before, and I think it remains true. We're going to have to really reassess going forward as people involved in democracy or whatever, the standards we set for politicians, because there's going to be a new generation of people coming forward who will all have some shit. Like, they'll all have, like, something they said when they were 15 that was racist or transphobic or something. Like, whatever it is, problematic shit from their past that will be dredged up. And so, like, it'll just be, oh, this guy who said the racist thing versus this guy who was a homophobe when he was in his 20s. Like, and that'll be the choice. So we're going to have to
I'm pretty certain I actually don't have anything that I've said that's racist or homophobic.
Well, maybe not, but something that's
more in the
unsaleable to a
scary radical communist area.
Yeah, but you are. Yeah. You are. That's just true.
Well, yeah, true. It's just that can be portrayed a hell of a lot of different ways,
Well, Caroline Lucas, to be fair, the one Green MP we currently have, amazing turnout for Trans Pride Brighton, biggest Trans Pride event in Europe and home of the first ever Trans Pride in the UK 7 years ago. Wonderful celebration.
This is pretty cool.
Of all that's been achieved with transphobic hate crime on the rise, a reminder of how much further still to go. So, like, as a party, they might be a bit shit, but, like, I think they are certainly the best of a bad bunch, for what it's worth. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's the election's going to be a win for the blue Tories or the red Tories, so it doesn't really matter, but...
I think
the hatred.
It does still matter.
Hang on, does it still matter then? In which case, why would you not vote for Labour if it does matter?
I would not vote for Labour because I don't want to reward them at all for what they're doing.
Okay, but why does it matter then? Is the point I'm making? Does it matter significantly or?
Because no, it matters like the amount of votes that you can take away from the Tories and Labour and give to basically any other fucking party.
Oh, no, well, I just meant in terms of the election results. Sorry, no, I didn't mean...
Oh, yeah, no, it might not matter in terms of the immediate election
Yeah,
result,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it will matter in terms of, like, what politics looks like going forward, if you can get a significant amount of people to vote outside of the usual binary choice.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Which is sort of why I'm drawn towards the Greens, but if they're transphobic as well, I'm just... Ugh.
I mean,
Just annoying.
some of them are.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
Well,
But
clearly...
I'd encourage you to just look and see what's up and see if you think it's like reasonable to. Like, vote
Is
for
there a
something.
species gap? Because I would get Rory to run. My cat's so cute, he might win. I reckon. There's something.
I
against,
mean,
do
you
they
know,
have to be human?
I said earlier that I would vote for a ham sandwich over the fucking options we have currently. So put him in.
So would Rory. He likes ham.
It doesn't.
Well, vegetarians again.
Good taste, your cat.
Yeah.
That is
You say that.
directed towards them.
You say that he does also lick his own arsehole.
Well, I'm sure that's probably not for the taste.
Probably not.
Norwich Council
Probably.
unanimously approved the
knows?
motion that
Here's a
trans men
cat.
are men and trans women are women.
Based Norwich. Rare Norwich W.
Rice and vegan stuff for me, please.
Been rare. They've
Even
had
if
Clive
you
Lewis as
don't
an
believe
MP
I'm a
for,
real
like, fucking
man
forever.
because I'm trans, they're not telling you to believe that. They're saying this council, as representatives of this city, believes that.
The authorities in Norwich have decided to address some of the questions the community have, and their fear that transphobia is on the rise.
There's certainly been an increase in the number of recorded instances of hate crime. Now that could be because of an increase in hate crime, it could be because better reporting by the police, it could be because of a community that feels more comfortable about reporting these things, and that's why we're here. I think that crime that goes to the notion of an individual's identity can have a profound impact, actually, and probably more so than other types of crime.
Okay, folks, can I just make a quick announcement? Sorry, I love having control of a room. Right, so the Rights in the Justice System workshop is about to begin now, just in the room over there. So please go and tell them how it is, and they are here to listen to you and to take your concerns on board. Okay.
For some, the idea that trans women are women and trans men are men is seen as a step in the right direction, but is deeply troubling for others.
But there was always a but coming.
As prominent gender-critical voices,
Jesus
Kathleen
Christ,
and
these
Julie
two
are
cunts
supporters of
again.
the Scottish women's groups,
Fucking hell.
who have been running a determined campaign against what they view would be an erosion of women's rights.
How? Have you ever seen a whiter group of people?
I have not. I'm a very white
I'd
group of
like
people.
to welcome you both to the revolution, as I would say.
How did you all get involved in this then?
The revolution of white middle class women in Edinburgh. Fuck off. Just fuck right off.
Once you are sort of say that you support women's rights, you're
We're the
labelled a
underclass.
TERF, you're labelled
Yeah.
transphobic, and I think that has a dehumanising effect.
I only found out about the word TERF because I was called a TERF, and I had to look it up.
Okay, good for you.
And obviously it's designed to misrepresent straight away because it's trans, exclusionary, radical, feminist.
I don't fucking believe that.
And she's not a feminist, so it is. I mean, it is definitely misleading. True.
I don't believe that. I don't think there's any fucking chance that she had not come across the term TERF before she was called it.
Probably, yeah.
Not a fucking chance. I think she was already reading shit on Twitter.
Probably.
That's how most of them do, right?
Yeah.
They get fucking radicalized by shit they read on Twitter and Facebook.
Yep. Yeah, this is Facebook Mom's support group, is what this is.
Mhm.
The law is terrible, obviously, if men can identify as women based on a feeling. Men can take liberties. They don't need to identify as trans. They can just be there saying, I have every right to be here. What does living as a woman mean anymore?
I feel full of admiration.
I don't know. I don't know what it fucking means. Maybe we should remove it as a requirement for getting a gender recognition certificate. Hang on, girls. Thank you so much. Fucking
Also, what did it?
all the way.
What did it ever mean? It meant 1,000,001 different things. Every single woman had their own way of living the life of a woman. And that's always been the case.
It's an insane, deranged requirement for a gender recognition certificate.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Couldn't agree with you more, Kathleen. Let's fucking go. Trans rights, go.
No, trans discussion, please.
The women
Endless
who've got
discussion.
involved in
Endless,
this.
yeah.
I really do. I just admire them because they're all risking something. A lot of them have suffered as a result of it. And their hearts are in the right
What
place.
are they
Their
risking?
heads are in the right place.
They're a bunch of middle-class white women. They're not risking anything. They might get someone who'll call them a TERF on Twitter. Oh, wow. Fucking hell.
Someone might say I'm mean.
They might say I'm mean. And not just that, but like, they've just gone, welcome to the revolution. Sorry, was the revolution meant to be a dinner party or not? Like, come on. You fuck... these people. God damn it. What do you reckon, Rory Katz? He doesn't care about human shit. Fair enough.
They're really admirable and brave.
I think you kind of just have to accept that you are going to lose friends by having this opinion. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can lose friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can lose friends, family members who think that being horrible towards trans people is kind of fucking shitty.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm losing friends because I'm acting like a wanker. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah. What is that a surprise to you? What? Look, that's always been the case. If you act like a prick, fewer people will want to be around you. Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't believe that's the case.
Yeah. So I'm sorry you've just worked out a thing that everyone else worked out when they were 5. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, and thank you so much, Julie. Thank you.
I have a lot of respect for
Desperate
women like
to be oppressed,
Kathleen.
aren't they?
Yeah.
I wish that more young people would stand with her instead of letting her speak for them. The problem with free speech in my generation is that it's...
Stop it.
A lot
Get
of us
some
seem
help.
to be relying on older generations to get us out of this mess, but I really do feel like unless we start having these conversations with each other and, you know, talking about this, that this issue's never going to be resolved.
Nobody at school likes you.
Well, no one not at school likes her either. Let's be honest. Jesus.
Hey, who the fuck is that?
Yeah. Thank you, I'm a silly girl, for 6 months in advance at Tier 1. Much love. And
I
thank
just want to point.
hang on. Jeff Waldorf, thank you for raiding in, mother flipper. Everyone go and follow Jeff. Jeff is based and awesome. I'm Kevin Logan. We're watching a TERF thing because TERFs are garbage. But you know who isn't garbage? My co-hostess for the evening, Mix Vivian Wulf. Shout yourself out, girl.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Mix Vivian Wulf, anti-fascist historian and cult researcher, I suppose. Stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I talk shit about cults and TERFs. The TERFs are a cult.
I was about to say, yeah, you've just repeated yourself. Yes, that's the link in chat for this if you want to go and watch this of your own accord. Thank you, Corrosive Al, for following. Much love to you. Welcome to the Kevolution.
Yeah, which is an actual revolution.
It is.
Over this definition of sex and gender at the moment.
Unlike the TERFs, yeah. Which is just some middle-class Facebook wine moms whinging and wanting to be oppressed. But aren't, actually.
And it's been magnified to this emotional state that
Finding
is
more
hard
than
to
any
back down
woman
from.
is.
And I think there are
Anyway.
also some people on both sides are so invested in the fight that they don't want to get their claws out of the fight. And if someone offered them a solution, I think many wouldn't take it.
Oh, fuck off, Kate.
It depends what the solution...
Literally all I want from our politics is for this fucking bullshit to just not be a thing anymore. Like, the idea that I would not take a solution if it was presented.
It depends what the solution is.
insulting.
Look, that's so generic. What's the
Well,
solution?
yeah, I suppose if the solution is just like, well, you know, if we could just eliminate transgenderism,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they
Yeah.
suggest,
The solution
then
is
we
just
wouldn't have to worry about
the
it
solution
anymore.
is to catapult trans people into the sun. Like, no,
Yeah,
that's not
I'm
okay.
probably not going to take that
Yeah.
as a solution. You know?
But anything short of that, and the TERFs won't accept it. So you know, where'd you go? It's almost like we should protect people's rights on the basis that they're human, not because other people are a little bit icked out. Who'd have thought?
Dialogue in this debate means that conversations between those with differing views are rare.
For the past 50 years, I think I have been engaged in seeking for equality for women in particular. I'm not hostile to trans. I'm definitely hostile to the politics of trans, which seeks to silence women's voices. They are not women.
Well, I'm dressed like a zebra because, you know...
Well, the trans men aren't women, yeah. That is true. I'll give them that.
I want to represent the fact that all this stuff in life at the moment is all black and white.
Katie and Linda
Also,
are
you
an
look like a
exception
pretty zebra.
and have forged an unlikely friendship.
Again, I'm not impressed with this person, I'll be honest. I know you have a prior relationship or whatever with them, but...
Well, with Katie, no, she's deeply fucking disappointed me in recent... Yeah.
No, I know, but I don't want to be too, like, rude, because it's probably not very nice for you.
No, it's very sad. It's very sad seeing somebody that you know and liked and respected basically be like this, you know?
I care about Katie as someone with whom I can have really profound discussions and arguments, and we can be respectful of each other. This is a good thing.
Yeah, because she agrees with half your positions.
I'm a proud lesbian
That's the
feminist,
problem.
but I don't think it would be fair to assume that all women are. So I think we've got a politics, and indeed there's some diversity within our politics, which is...
Although I will say I do respect the fact that Katie's got a pint of Guinness. Presumably on the show's tab as well, which is good. I appreciate that. That's solid work.
Probably why you and I are talking to each other, whereas some of my lesbian feminist sisters wouldn't be engaged in talking with you, and probably won't be engaged with talking with me from henceforth. But freedom of speech,
Yeah, 'cause
freedom
there's
of
plenty of
expression
lesbian feminist
are
sisters who
important,
aren't
and we
fucking
won't. I don't
gender
think we
critical.
take the
Majority of them,
discussion
in fact.
of trans.
I know why we have so
forward
much attention on the
unless we
gender critical
actually
point of
talk to
view.
each
Where
other.
are all the trans inclusive
I
lesbian
think because
organisations in the fucking press? Nowhere to be seen. They do fucking exist. Speak Out Sister, the feminist bookshop, there's shitloads of them out there.
It's almost like the powerful people want a certain narrative pushed.
Almost.
Yeah.
One side wants to take away trans people's rights, and then on the other
I will say, how are you pronouncing that name? Gwen
Do you know Gwen Fruel? Free? I don't know. It seems like
Nice.
Welsh, right?
Exactly. Unnecessary
Welsh.
letters, Welsh. It's unnecessary.
I need quite as many letters, Welsh.
Yeah. I have friends who live in the town of Llanelli, which, for those who don't know, has 2 double L's in it. Mental.
Llanelli.
Yeah.
side you've got
No
trans
need.
people.
No need.
And that's the divide as I see it.
I like it.
I'm going
That's
to
a lovely
continue living my
place,
life
just weirdly
as it
spelled.
is, and so are other trans people. And even if there is hostility, there's also a knowledge that people are respectful, accepting of trans people.
The notion that every human being is of equal value. If we did that, we wouldn't be having an argument about gender.
We need to kind of humanise
What?
these debates, and that's why I think we need to actually have people literally sat down in a pub having a discussion.
And I'm glad that you and I are able to argue with each other.
And a message to Katie asking if she'd sit down and talk with me. I haven't received a response yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
I said in respect of our previous friendship and so on. I was upset to see you taking some of these positions. Would you do me the same courtesy as Stock and agree to sit down and have a talk with me? No response so far.
yeah, because you don't have the clout that Channel 4 has.
I don't have the clout that Channel 4 has, and I'm also not gender critical, so
True.
I don't think my opinion matters.
Let's just all get on with our lives. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter whether you get it or not. We're just trying to live.
Although it's a time for contemplation, it's also a time
that I have become deeply aware, particularly this year, of what a wonderful community we have here in Norwich, supporting each other.
Norwich.
There is no real end in
That's
sight.
cringe as fuck. It's
Yeah,
nice. It's nice.
I was about to say they went and made it. They went and made it soy as fuck. What are you doing?
It's nice, but it's cringe. Okay, it's nice, but it's embarrassing.
Well, I did this before. I can't remember what show. The Just Up Oil people who interrupted the ExxonMobil shareholders meeting by like doing they did a version of a Spice Girls tune, but with the words changed to be about like oil being bad, and it was so embarrassing. I thought to myself, actually, you know what? I wouldn't be so bothered by the earth burning up now. Just if I didn't have to see that ever again, bring on the fucking fiery apocalypse of global warming. Oof.
Do you be like that
Between
sometimes?
sex and gender. Self-ID is on hold, for now at least, in Scotland, and everything remains on the line. For those who've been caught up in this toxic war of words, the repercussions continue.
We are trans together,
All of a
trans
sudden,
and cis
I'm
together,
not
and we're singing
someone
for
who's
our
fought
lives.
for lesbian
I'm
liberation,
so
women's rights.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty fucking cringe. Let's move past that and ignore that happened.
No, you know what? I'll take it. It's fine. It's whatever. Like, lovely fucking people. Yes.
No, lovely people. I'm not saying we should condemn them. I just think
they're cringe as shit. But if everybody was them, I'd be a lot happier.
Oh yeah, the world would be a greater place, but also my toes would never stop from being curled. Like I would just be like a cringy ball of like, make the soy stop. But the world would be nicer, certainly.
The world would be nicer.
Against rape, against domestic violence. I'm just an anti-trans bigot.
You are, yes. That is correct. Oh, does it? Imagine having your rights taken away. That probably hurts a great deal more, I imagine.
That's what she's made herself, you know?
Yeah.
Like, all this previous fucking work that she's done.
Yeah.
It's so sad, like, seeing it. Although, in fairness, like, there's good reason to suggest that, like, Julie Bindel isn't as instrumental in a lot of these campaigns as she says she is. So.
Probably.
But that's a topic for another time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we're back to stacks of books. Good.
Women is not the hill I want to die on. But then you start having to get down and debate what is a woman. And that
No, you
shouldn't
don't.
even be a debate that we're having. But what the debate we should be having is how do people live their life?
Is that a tiny cat on their lap? I think it is. It is a kitten, I think. I think I see an ear. Sorry.
Lives peacefully. How do people live their lives safely? How do people get respected and left alone? And are safe?
I actually don't even want to think about restoring my reputation. That is not something I ever think about because partly I think
it's sort of
what's
impossible.
the point in thinking about something that's impossible?
It is sort of impossible, yeah. Like,
but it's impossible without her not being a transphobic piece of shit. Like,
well, yeah, but so many of them have gone so far down the pipe now that it's sort of difficult for them to row back. Like, what couldn't Glynner realistically salvage from his life now?
It's a pretty huge sunk cost, but like,
yeah, exactly.
The point
that's what I mean.
His life is always going to be total shit unless he takes, starts to take the first fucking step. And
no, absolutely. I'm just saying from the perspective. I know it is a sunk cost fallacy, but from his or from any of these people's perspective, a cheese grater. You people in chat are monsters. Okay, he was cheese graterless for several weeks potentially. Okay. Anyway,
he took the cheese.
It's honestly, I
Couldn't
think
put any on my carbonara.
The most pathetic thing I've ever seen a grown human being write.
She even took the cheese.
Like, you know what you could do? You could go to the shop and buy a fucking cheese grater. It's not that expensive, actually.
Yeah, we're talking to somebody who's like
a millionaire. Yeah, he's
pretty fucking wealthy.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. He's still getting Father Ted residual money as well. So
yeah.
I'm really just going to carry on talking to reasonable people who treat me with respect. All I can do is just keep going, making my point, over and over and over again. That's all I can do.
So we're basically at the end now, and she hasn't actually explained her position at all.
I think her position is there are two sexes and you can't swap between them, is the closest that we've seen.
Which is like the tip of the iceberg, really. That's
well, yeah,
not actually
it's
her position.
It's definitely not what she said in. It's definitely not what's said in the document that she signed.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Definitely not what she's campaigning for. Like, she's not campaigning for this to be recognised as like fact. Like,
she's lying by omission. Is what she's doing. Yeah, she's not telling you the real truth there, and that's a wasted opportunity.
And that's honestly telling. The fact that they refuse to state the things that they have stated in the past in less public forums when they actually have like a really big platform is incredibly telling. So they don't have, courage in the strength of their conviction, or whatever the fuck the phrase is.
Yeah.
They know that this position is either like untenable or unpopular or would make them look like a fucking monster.
Yeah.
So they don't do it.
Yeah. In terms of how much longer is left, that's the end of the show, Phantom. Like, that's literally the end of it. I'll go by it's just the credits, so like we're done. Yeah.
God, that was fucking long, wasn't it? It was a whole hour of saying very fucking little, except what I got out of that is there is a culture war. People are nasty to each other. Yep. We should be nicer to each other, probably.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's literally it. Yeah.
It's like the whole thing.
Well, I was going to ask you to sum it up, but you did, so I don't need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can't forget the major overarching point. Kathleen Stock is sad.
She's sad.
Kathleen Stock is sad.
On a
people
train
said,
and in
people
a
said
house.
Mean things to Kathleen Stock.
Oh,
and Kathleen Stock is sad.
True.